Happened to one of the Rangers players. He tried to flick, and he got absolutely slaughtered. He absolutely got slaughtered for it. And I'm thinking, like, that's what people want to see. They want to see things like that. He will get slaughtered for missing it. But you know, you've got to applaud the audacity of him to try that. And yeah, he'll do it again because he's a confident boy. So there's no way he won't try that again.
Yeah, it's not as if Dundee United haven't been in the game. As Gordon mentioned, they've had little flash points, and one of them, of course, being the clearance off the line from Paul Hanlon. But they've offered very little apart from that.
No, you would have thought with Billy Mackay, they just can't get the ball to Billy Mackay. You know, the ball that he wants, the ball in between the defender, the full back and the centre half. There's nobody in midfield been able to play that pass to him that he thrives on. But in 90 minutes of a game, doesn't matter who you are, you've got to get chances, and that's what Dundee United will have. But you would like to think with the 30 minutes coming up here that Hibs would have the experience in the side to try and win this one.
Yeah, you're still confident they can do it?
Yeah, I think I am, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, you're not. You think you are?
I was about to say, you're still confident you can do it? Yeah, I think I am. Okay, that's an answer and a half. We'll have more confidence, or maybe half confidence, coming up in the next part of the programme. Extra time at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi-final. It's Hibs 0, Dundee United 0. Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. It's going to extra time between Dundee United and Hibernian, and if anything, with the changes that have been made, what will each manager be saying in this one? Do you get the feeling, Ruffy, that one goal could settle it?
Yeah, it looks that way. You know, there hasn't been that many goal-mouth incidents, and it might just a wee bit of magic for somebody. Both teams have got players who can come up with something a wee bit special. We saw with Dundee United, we've seen Payton hitting a screamer for 25 yards. We've seen Stokes, you know, having efforts as well. But I think this looks as if it's going to go to penalties all the way, and it'll be interesting to see if the boy Cummins has got the same bottle to do that again in the penalty kicks.
I don't think he will.
I think he might go. I think he might go for a Bobby Charlton attitude to a penalty kick.
I think so. Yeah, I think he'll be driving it in future. I don't think he would try that again. It'll be interesting to see. I'd give him a lot of credit if he did, though. If he actually did do that, because you think, well, you need a bit of confidence.
Did you know what it's done, Gordon? And I agree with Peter. You know, it's great to see something like that if it hits the back of the net. What that effort that he had there put him out of that game nearly. I think he played anywhere near.
Do you think it affected him then?
Yeah, I think it's one of the ones where you've got to, you know, if it hits the back of the net, you're a hero. If you're not, you've got to deal with it. And I heard when he was going up the tunnel, the Hibs supporters were having a go at him, you know, for being that sort of a slack, casual sort of attitude.
That's the problem you've got.
And now he's got to grab himself together. And this extra 30 minutes might just be the 30 minutes that he can put that 90 minutes out the way and concentrate on what's coming up.
But that is the problem you've got by saying if you try that, and the crowd are going to give you some stick, but you've got to be big enough, because you've got to take it on the chin if you miss it.
Yeah. A lot of people will forget, Peter, the fact we talked about Panenka before, but his was sensational when you think about it. I mean, the underdogs, Czechoslovakia, playing Germany, the favourites, in the final of a competition. It was a match-winning penalty, and he did that. I mean, it was probably the first time it had been done, I think, especially certainly in a big global sense. Yeah. To do that for that game, because if he missed that, if the keeper, say, hadn't dived for the ball, it straight into his hands, how bad a time would he have got for that? Yeah, well, but he did it and he scored, which was a sensational winner. I must admit, and I've got to try and highlight to some younger viewers who'll be watching thinking, who is Vitor Panenka? 1976, as Gordon mentioned there, he was playing for Czechoslovakia in the final against West Germany, and of course West Germany had all the world's superstars. They just won the World Cup, and they had one of the world's best goalkeepers in Sepp Maier in the goal, and he chipped the ball over him to win the European Championships. And I'm throwing no aspersions over the ability of Jason Cummings, but Victor Panenka was probably 2 or 3 levels above him. But full marks to the young man for trying it. Hasn't come off. We're into extra time. Still waiting on that first real goal that either side can celebrate, but it hasn't happened as yet. I can tell you down south in the Barclays Premier League, it's Norwich 0, Sunderland 2, Macca, and that is a real body blow for Alec Neil. Well, it is. It's a big blow to Norwich, but you know, it's a massive blow to a team like Newcastle as well, because they're down there fighting for their life, and they would have probably hoped for a draw in that one, I would have imagined. But so there's a big pressure on Newcastle at home to go and beat Swansea now. All the teams down there, Peter, are all fighting for their life, and we all know about the money that's coming into the game next year. And for a team like Sunderland, Newcastle, even Norwich, to go down now, because they're trying to establish themselves as a Premier League team. Yeah, it's a lot of money to get to lose next year. That was the proverbial 6 pointer as we talk about, Peter, today. Yeah. If Norwich win that, you know what I mean, they go quite far away. You know, they've been, I think, 7 points ahead of Sunderland that have been with obviously Sunderland do have a game in hand. Yes. But now Sunderland are going to get within a point if they win this game with the game in hand, which means they can get above Norwich, and Norwich will be dragged in to the relegation zone. So this was a big game, and in fairness to Sunderland, they've obviously handled it better. Yeah, Barini and Defoe scoring the goals. Barini from the penalty spot, and Jermaine Defoe, Ruffy's been a great signing for them. Yeah, he has. He scored just about everywhere he goes. You know, he's got that bit of pace that can take him away from defenders. Definitely got an eye for the goal as well, and big player for them. Yep. Okay. The Scottish Cup semi-final so far, still waiting on that first real chance in the first period of extra time. Did you ever go to extra time, Macca, in a penalty in a cup competition?
No, I think we went with St Mirren when we get beat, but that was not with Celtic or anything. We just, you tend to win it, and then we always won it in the 91st minute, just when the other team was thinking about extra time, we got them score, so that killed that off.
Gordon, I think the great thing about you is you played in one of the most boring cup finals of all time.
I certainly did. Against Hibernian.
Yes.
First two games were 0-0,
Yep.
and went to a third game. And I, not only that, I lost all the money from my holidays. I'd booked my holidays, and you had to cancel because no one knew that if it was even 2 draws, it went into a third game. So it was ridiculous when you think about it. And it wasn't. It should have been extra time and penalties in those days. But went 2 0-0 draws, and you're right.
No shots.
Very rarely ever Peter been aware of how bad a game was when you're playing in it. Normally, what happened was somebody would say to you after the game, "That was a terrible game." You go, "Oh, was it? I didn't realise it," because you're playing in it. Your mind's got. We actually were aware while we were playing that game it was rotten. It was one of the worst. 2 of the worst semi-finals ever. Finals.
I think you're right, Gordon. To be fair, I'm surprised they let you cancel your holiday for the
way you played.
What got me? I'll tell you what happened though. It was a classic. It was 2 each in the third game, and Davy Cooper went round the Hibs keeper, and it wasn't roughy in those days, and crossed it in, and I'm heading the ball in the net. And Arthur Duncan came in and knocked me over, barged me out the way, and headed it in his own net. And it was an own goal, and I was raging at him because I'm thinking to myself, I'm scoring the winning goal here.
You're telling me you never ran away?
No, I couldn't. I got battered over, and Brian McGinley was the referee and said, I was given a penalty goal, and he says, but obviously it's a goal, and I'm letting the goal go. And I thought, oh, cheers. But I wasn't on the penalties either, to be fair. But I was raging about that because I'm thinking, this is a chance to score the winning goal in the last part of the game, and Arthur Duncan will always be remembered now as having won the cup for Rangers.
Yeah, and the strange thing about it, that was the first ever, obviously the first movie, and Smith must score before we got to the bigger one, the FA Cup final. But Duncan scored, and this one we haven't got anybody scoring a goal yet. Still 0-0, and of course, just in case you're wondering, we are indeed going to talk about the game that everyone's talking about, which is of course Rangers against Celtic, Hampden Park tomorrow. And the one question I think everybody will be discussing is quite simply the state of the pitch, and the pitch seems to be holding up well. A little slow at times, Ruffy, but I think it looks okay. Yeah,
it looks okay. It doesn't seem to be cutting up that much. The weather forecast tonight's supposed to be reasonable, so that's good that that's out the road. You know, that you wouldn't want everybody to be complaining about it. Let's just hope that we're talking about the football.
It's almost as if in this country, I don't know what it's like in other countries, almost as if we are looking for the controversy before. You know, we want to. I think we are a country of stirrers. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Peter. And the thing about it is, to a certain degree, what people are saying is it's a national stadium. We want a good pitch. It's get a lot of criticism, and at least they have got it corrected. I don't know whether they had to pay for it or not, or whether they might be able to turn it on the people who actually put it in the first place and said, you have not done a good job here. This has to be repaired and has to be relayed. And that's what's happened. And hopefully, as I say, we'll find out after the game today. It looks good. You can never tell. The players will be making now.
The thing is, I don't understand it all, but apparently it was getting laid and grown somewhere else before it got brought here and put down and all knitted together. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about it. I mean, you need to phone Cloystey on that one, but you know.
I can see that. I don't know about you guys, but I can see the headline now. Macca says, I know nothing about grass. So
I know nothing about gardening.
So on that note, Ruffy, the only thing that I've got is a disappointment, which again you can understand, is the crowd, 20,000 or so.
What do you expect? You know, I think Dundee United through a bad spell. I would think maximum 10,000 if there were. It's a semi-final. You would think if they got to the final, there'd be more than that there. But it's a semi-final. I think
Hibs have always got a good support. They always take a good support, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, I think there's a reasonable support there. I mean, even at the Ross County game, they took nearly 2/3 of the
Do you not think that's because of where it is and they're up in arms because it's a 100? I mean, Dundee United, And Hibs, they're not from Glasgow. I know I know you say it's the semi-final, Peter, but put in Tynecastle, both supporters would fill it up. A great atmosphere for the semi-final.
Yeah, I must admit, and I don't mean to be in any way rude to you, Maka, but it's a semi-final. It's at Hampden, and I think every year, Gordon, it's getting tedious. This is the deal. You either buy into it or you don't.
Yeah, I think it should depend at times where teams are from. I mean, to be fair to Peterhead, last week they actually said, you know, they wanted the Petrofac Cup final there because they realised that Rangers were going to fill it.
Yeah.
You've got two teams here. If there's 20,000 crowd, well below half the crowd, it's not even filled halfway. So I agree with Maka that, you know, probably going somewhere like Tynecastle would have created a great atmosphere, given it a great game. Both teams would have loved playing there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
last couple of weeks on this programme, we've wanted to close Hampden down. And go for another national stadium or start putting it to other grounds. So in the end, they have to justify their existence, Ruffy. That's why it's there. Yeah. That's why there should be no arguments.
Yeah, this is a company. You know, a company who have to make money. They do all the gigs and everything during the summer, and there's X amount of pounds you need to bring in. And certainly games like this, although might not be that many people there, there's certainly revenue coming in. I think I agree with Gordon and Market that the atmosphere would be good, but if you're a player who doesn't get to Hampden very often, it's a wonderful experience to say that you've been there.
Yep, okay, still 0-0 between Hibs and Dundee United. We are going to look at the Championship, League 1 and League 2. There are some tasty games there as well. And let's not forget the Barclays Premier League. It's still 2-0 at the moment to Sunderland. But there's a big game tomorrow. Certainly looking forward to it, Ruffy. Everybody talking about it. And tickets are scarce, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any empty spaces tomorrow.
West Ham.
But you know, it's going to be a massive. It's been away for so long. I think we've all forgotten what it's like. These guys have played in them, and as a spectator as well, you're just dying for it to happen. It's an occasion that you don't want to miss, and you just hope it's a good game.
Yep, Gordon, you guys have been lucky enough to play in these matches. Sometimes the hype doesn't live up to the reality of the 90 minutes.
Football-wise, but it's going to be an occasion no matter what happens, because last year was a very disappointing game in the aspect of the fact it wasn't a close contest. It was Celtic were ruling the game so easily. Rangers, I mean, even the biggest surprise I got was the fact they switched off at 2-0 up. And
I think it was because, again, going back to the pitch, it was so heavy last year. The pitch was. Spoke to Scott Brown after it. Said the pitch was so heavy under feet. They were winning the game very comfortably, and they just, you know, I can't see somebody like Neil Lennon or Martin O'Neill saying to them, let's not go for the jugular.
No,
you know?
but you could tell they switched off.
So the players had switched
obvious.
off because they were in a few games last year. So
but this game will be different in the respect that Celtic are not playing as well as they were at this time last year to a degree, and Rangers are a better team. There's no doubt about that. So we've got an occasion here. It's the first Old Firm game we've had for 4 years. It maybe looks significant. Last year, as I say, everybody was going to get up for it, but it just didn't happen. This time, I think it's going to be a harder game.
Can I just say to you that I'd be amazed if Conrad Logan doesn't win Man of the Match, Ruffy. He's made some unbelievable saves for him.
I have to say, a fantastic save for John Rankin, low down to his left-hand side, and big guy, got down well, and he's in another one there just now. It's a bad sign for Hibs, because Dundee United are getting loads and loads of chances, and I think Hibs will now be hoping that it does go to penalties, because they're not creating anything at all.
Yep, the pendulum swinging at the moment in favour of Dundee United, but Conrad Logan, the last line of defence, still 0-0. We'll get a match report from Craig Turnbull on the 90 minutes and the extra time. Will it be green and white looking forward to a cup final, or will it be tangerine and black today? And of course it's green and white against blue and white tomorrow in the Scottish Cup semi-final. Back at Hampden, Rangers against Celtic. Let's have a look at the fixtures on offer today in Scotland for you. There you can see, well, that's not really Scotland, but that's the type of thing that can happen on the show. It's exciting sometimes when you just walk into a room, you don't know what happens. Let's have a look at the fixtures in Scotland for you this afternoon. And of course, St Mirren is where we will be going very, very shortly indeed. They're taking on Morton. We've got Dumbarton against Wraith Rovers and Alloa against Queen of the South. I'll just tell you, and now we'll go might as well just go to St Mirren, because if we're talking about derbies, everybody's talking about Rangers Celtic, but what about St Mirren against Morton, Derek Clark?
It's the only show in town here. Both sides don't have a great deal to play for league-wise, but there's bragging rights at stake, and you can bet your bottom dollar they'll both be going hammer and tongs for the 3 points this afternoon. A win for the Buddies would see them leapfrog Queen of the South, should Alloa do them a favour, and it would also cut the gap on today's opponents to a solitary points. Alex Rae makes 2 changes from the side that lost to Falkirk last week, so in comes Naismith and Clarkson for Watson and Carswell. Jim Duffy's men, meanwhile, have had a terrific campaign so far, and victory here would mean they finish above St Mirren this campaign. Now that's easier said than done though. They've not beat the Paisley side in 17 years, and of the 3 clashes this season there's been 2 stalemates, while Alex Rae's men won by a 1-0 at Capello on the 2nd of January. They make 2 changes. Kildee and McManus return for McMullen and Samuel, who drop to the bench. I'm hoping for blood and thunder here this afternoon. St Mirren against Morton.
Yeah, let's not forget Dumbarton against Wraith Rovers kicks off at 5:15. But Mac, it means so much to the Paisley Buddies to win against Morton.
Well, they say that they've not got a lot to play for this year, St Mirren, but you know, I've played in some of the derbies, London, Rangers and Celtic, but the St Mirren one was tremendous.
Yeah.
Obviously, the crowds they have a great day, and it's such a fierce game between the two of them. There'll be a few bookings today, I would imagine, because there's no love lost between the two of them. Alex Rae's such a winner that he will have them fired up, and we all know Jim Duffy, he doesn't like getting beat at anything. You know, he plays cards and he hates getting beat, so it's going to be a good game. I'm going to go for my old team. I think, you know, it was a great start. Morton, it was music to my ear that Morton's not beat them in 17 games or something, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, and of course so am I, Macca, because in our treble today I have St Mirren as the preferred team. I'm backing you with that one. St Mirren, and who's gone for Cowdenbeath? I have to ask. It's Gordon, you've gone for Cowdenbeath to win at Albion Rovers and Elgin to win at home against Queen's Park from the bold Alan Ruff. And the great thing about a Saturday afternoon with the treble, we always say do everything in moderation, whether it be just a little flutter on the Scottish Grand National or indeed or on a wee treble, everything in moderation. A couple of pence here and there, Ruffy, and the good thing about us, we've managed to lose quite a considerable amount of money for the viewers.
Yeah, we have, and I would hazard a bet that there is nobody actually watching this show will be putting anything on that we've put on.
Yeah.
You know, I think we'll have learned by now
Yes,
that it's
so.
just a waste of time. So they'll be picking their own selections, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will get better. There will be a run. Yeah.
Experts.
3 of us aren't wrong every week though.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again,
I'm glad you said the 3 and not 4.
4,
because,
yeah,
you know,
you're not involved.
Not involved.
But Macca's got 3 today.
Macca's got 3. Yeah,
I've just picked. I don't condone gambling. I don't.
No, absolutely. The point. Well, listen,
I've took 3.
it's not illegal, Macca. It's only illegal if you're actually playing for a team.
I've took 3.
Yeah, I think if you really condoned them, you wouldn't go and work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good point. A very good point, Rocky, on Macca.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them.
Who Macca never bows to a sponsor. Give me the 3 teams that you've picked.
Man United, Newcastle and Clyde.
Man United, Newcastle and Clyde. Okay, we've gone for St Mirren, Cowdenbeath and Elgin, and we'll give you our choices in the Grand National as well. Scottish Grand National at Ayr today. We've heard from Derek Clark out there at St Mirren against Morton. I can't tell you, second half now in extra time. It's getting nervy. The managers are getting frustrated. Mixu Patalainen and Alan Stubbs have been out there just shouting instructions to the players. Henry Aniye had a great chance with another brilliant block from Conrad Logan, the Hibs goalkeeper. So Dundee United have been coming into it, but there's still no way through, and we still don't know who's going to be booking the first place at the Hampden final. Now, with regards to the other match, Rangers against Celtic, the managers, everybody and their grannies had an opinion on this one. But first and foremost,
whether it's ex-pundits or not, the managers are the most important, surely, over and above that, the players on the day who carry out the instructions. Mark Warburton, I think, maybe had Oasis in mind when he's just mentioned to all the players at Rangers, don't look back in anger.
Don't look back with any regrets. Go and enjoy it. Have you done all the work? If you've prepared well, whatever line of work you're in, if you've worked hard and gone through it and you've educated yourself and you know you're in a good position, then go and enjoy it. But if you've tried to cop out and cut corners, then you'll pay the price. You'll be found out. But I know that every single player in our squad, to a man, is well prepared. So no qualms about that. Go and enjoy the occasion.
Can you truly enjoy the match? Is there a moment where you enjoy it? Was there a moment when you enjoyed your first one? Did you enjoy the first 16 minutes before
14,
you left
was
it?
No, 14.
Was it 14?
Yeah. Took me 2 minutes to go off, so you remember, right? 16, yeah. It was awful. I mean, it was a great feeling to my first game to run out at Ibrox, and it was a cold. It was really, Ibrox was like such a noise. It was incredible for me. Being a supporter, you go there and who would have known 14 minutes getting sent off, so it does do things to you. The second game I played was even better. I scored the 2 goals and we beat Rangers 2-0, which was more like me, and I enjoyed it. After the second goal went in, I enjoyed it. You know, you enjoy the game then, because you know you've won basically. When you get 2-0 up, you know you've won, so we tend to enjoy. We had more room because Rangers had to go for it, and that's when the good players create space for themselves, and it was good. It was a totally enjoyable second game, not the first one.
Yeah, and of course, many a player, former player, has been talking about it. Gordon Smith, from your own perspective on it, was it a day where all the hype and all the mentions of the fans and the pressure of winning, was that all on your shoulders, or were you young enough just to think, no, I'm going to go and...
It didn't bother me at first. My first Old Firm game was the one that we were doing 2-0 at half time to Celtic at Ibrox, and we won 3-2, and I scored 2 goals that day, so that I had a good experience. My first one, I think the ones that became more difficult, I don't know if Frank would agree with this, was the ones after you had a defeat in an Old Firm game. The next time you played, you're more nervous about it because you realise what comes from a defeat, and it's normally your own supporters that are giving you more stick than the opposition fans. You know, the Rangers, Celtic fans wouldn't be too bad if they'd beaten you, whereas it was your own fans that would actually want to say something to you and be angry with you. So that became a little bit more nervous further on than it was from my first one. My first one weren't a problem.
But on the discussion that the majority, particularly Rangers, are playing on about the Celtic having more players who've played in them games before than the Rangers players, do you think that's a big issue?
No,
on your first game?
So. No.
The first times that you played, you went in there and...
I don't think so. I think I think that is a point. They'll have experienced it, but as I say, there's the other side of experiencing it. You're experiencing it and being maybe nervous about it too, because you're thinking, I know what will come here. Because see to be honest with you, if you're a Celtic player, you're more nervous about this game. I'll tell you why. Because Rangers aren't going to get any stick if they lose.
No, there's nothing on.
Celtic
nothing on Celtic. But the thing is, as a football player, Gordon, this is a game that you want to play. This is a game that it doesn't matter who you play for. You aspire to get on that pitch, to be one of that 11 or one of that 22 that's on the pitch tomorrow. Yeah. Whatever team you support or don't support, you just want to be in a game like this. Correct. This magnitude. It's unbelievable.
Well, let me move it on a bit further then. Does it make it any easier if you're a home-based guy or somebody who's never seen the game before or knows what it's going to be like, or knows
I think if you're home base, as Frank said, you're more excited by it because you know what it's all about. You think, as he said, it's like if you want to be at the top in your game, being at the top as a Scottish player in club football, league football, is to play in an Old Firm game. That's the highest level.
Gordon, you've played in England as well, and I keep saying this happening on. In England, they have not got a clue about Celtic. They don't want to watch Celtic play Motherwell or Aberdeen or Rangers play Aberdeen. The only thing they're interested in is a Celtic Rangers game. That's all they care about. And they'll go and meet in the pub. For some reason, they're not Scottish, but they'll all meet in the pub and watch the Old Firm game. That's what they do. It's just incredible.
And to be perfectly honest, if I was going to take a brutal attitude towards that, who cares?
You know, if that's the only match they want to watch,
I'm talking for money into the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it doesn't matter, Frank. Nobody in England, other than the main broadcasters, are going to offer the money. It'll boost the profile. It will boost the coffers as far as the sponsorship is concerned, and as far as maybe broadcast deals over the next 2 or 3 years. But at the end of the day, I think the one thing the last 4 years has brought, Ruffy, is inclusion, is a broader spread of what other people have had to offer. Other clubs have been able to win silverware. Other clubs have been able to boost their season tickets. If we go back to only 2 clubs matter, I think it will. I think it's a road going down a road that we shouldn't be going down.
Do you think the football's been better in the last 4 years?
No,
Peter?
but that's down. That's a different argument, Frank. That's down to you know, the financial nightmare of clubs not being able to run their business properly.
But I don't think it's also, Peter, that would say we're not going back to the situation we're saying only 2 clubs matter.
I don't think so.
What we're saying is they are 2 massive clubs compared with the rest.
There's
not
no
just
doubt.
not that they're the only ones that matter. That they bring the attention to Scottish football. It's Rangers and Celtic that bring that attention. They're the teams that are in recent years say the only ones that have done anything in Europe for us as well over a long time. So, in a long time since Dundee United and Aberdeen did something in Europe. So that's why they're wanting to see a Rangers Celtic scenario again in the league to make competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But I think you know, the collective of Scottish football and the betterment of it will be if we get more Scottish players through, more people at Gordon Strachan can pick their teams, and other people have a say. In the 20 years before, when Celtic and Rangers were dominating, they were taking all the money, making all the decisions. It was a completely and utterly imbalanced voting system as well.
United was and Aberdeen when they were
in the
challenged.
80s.
It was great to watch their teams.
Absolutely. Listen, Mixu Patalainen is just taking notes here. I'm not quite sure what he's taking notes on. It must be the penalty kick takers. We are heading for penalty kicks. We've only got 7 minutes left. Is there going to be a dramatic winner? We'll bring you the details coming up next.
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. Looks as if it's going to penalties at Hampden, Ruffy.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's interesting to see what people step forward when you congregate in the halfway line. You know, the manager has to, unless it's done beforehand, unless you know, but you don't know who's going to be on the park, who isn't. So he'll be asking for a show of hands, and it's sometimes if you keep your eye on it, it's the guys who sort of step back and just sort of hide behind somebody.
Hide behind somebody, you see, don't you? But normally the penalty takers are sort of, they know who they are. And only if they're having, the only thing the manager will say is, are you confident enough? Because somebody may be having an absolute shocker and say, look, Gaffer, I know I'm down, but take me off this, I don't feel confident.
Sometimes it's the opposite as well. Sometimes when you see the big centre half picking the ball up, you go, oh no. But then they're the ones who just decided they know what they're going to do, rather than somebody who feels confident trying to flash.
It's funny, that happened twice. It happened with Liverpool in the 80s and 90s when it was Alan Kennedy, and they were all going, no, you're joking. Alan Kennedy twice he scored penalties, and he never scored in 2 finals, but you could tell he couldn't score a goal because he didn't know how to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. He was running about as if it was something new to him. Can I just say at this point though that I think there's an art to it. I don't, there's more of an art to it than there is a lottery on it if you have practiced Gordon Smith.
Yes.
If you know what you're doing, if you're the type of person that is quite confident, what they're saying, what Ruffy's saying is right about it. You need to be of the right mentality. When the minute comes along, say, look, I want to take this. You want to have people who want to take it, because they're the ones, if you're forcing somebody to take it, there's more of a worry there. Because Ruffy would tell you this as well, the goalkeepers are under no pressure at penalties. It's only the taker that's under the pressure, isn't it?
You're under pressure when you dive the wrong way 4 times.
A goalkeeper never gets any stick for diving the wrong way, Ruffy. I've never seen one yet got stick for diving the wrong way.
But the whole, I mean, we all like it, we all think it's great, but for somebody, it's a horrible day if you miss it.
Yeah, some people are inconsolable if they miss a penalty kick, but what I would say in this situation is, if you look at great penalty takers, I think Matt Letizia only missed 1 out of 50. I think Mark Crossley of Nottingham Forest saved the only penalty save. Ray Stewart scored penalties for fun. Phil Neal scored for Liverpool penalties for fun. There is a real art to it if you practice it and you stick to. I think a lot of players say, make your decision and stick to your guns.
That's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do. And you just got Ray Stewart was the one, he just picked a corner and he didn't change. But he hit it, even if the keeper went the right way, he hit it that hard. Keeper had no chance. It was just, by the time he got there, the ball was hit the net. And Julian Dix was the same at West Ham. Just picked a corner and smashed it.
Yeah, okay. I think now we're on the dying seconds of that match. So 0-0 at the moment. Let's quickly switch our attention to St Mirren Park for that Renfrewshire derby. And Derek Clark has the teams.
For both sides, for St Mirren, in comes Naismith and Clarkson. They replace Watson and Carswell. So they line up in what looks like a 4-4-2 formation. Langfield in goals, back four, Irvin, Baird, Webster and Naismith. A midfield of Gallagher, Quinn, Mallon and Cooper, with Clarkson and Shankland up top. On the bench for the Buddies, Willison is the sub-goalie. Then they go with Thompson, Goodwin, Morgan, Gow, Stewart and Carswell. 2 changes I mentioned for Morton as well. Kildee and McManus replaced McMullen and Samuel, who dropped to the bench. So they line up again. It looks like a 4-4-2 formation. Gaston in goals, Kildee, Gasparotto, O'Ware and Russell at the back four. Miller, McKee, Forbes and Barr, with Johnston pairing it with McManus up top. On the bench for Morton this afternoon, McNeil, Lammy, McDonald, Samuel, Quitongo, McMullen and Tennant. The referee for this one, Willie Collum.
Alec Ray was mentioning Gordon Smith, that you'd love to be able to hold on to a few players, the likes of Lawrence Shanklin, and I'm looking at the Morton side there and I'm thinking they'll do well to hold on to Denny Johnson.
Yeah, he's had a great season for them, there's no doubt about that. So, I mean, Morton, they were right in there for a while. Jim Duffy had them going, they were up there challenging. Quite a big gap now to Raith Rovers, no chance of getting it for quite some time. Raith have been quite clear there in 4th place. So Morton, as I say, having a good run, but their form was pretty inconsistent. But Denny Johnson has been a key player for them. Today's a big game, as I say, because I think that St Mirren, what's at stake today is not just a derby. St Mirren would want to get closer to them too, Peter. They're 4 points behind at the moment, and if they get closer to them, get within a point of them, they would want to finish as high as they can sit minutes, so that they get a bit of, I would think, confidence for next season to think, wait a minute, we can go up here and challenge for a playoff place. If they get just outside it, it'll have been a very good time for Alec Ray. He'll be delighted with how things are going. St Mirren might need to recruit one or two more players, but he's definitely got things going a bit more positively.
Yep, and I can tell you we're now waiting on the penalty kicks at Hampden Park between Dundee United and Hibernian. One other match that's finished in the Barclays Premier League is Norwich City 0, Sunderland 3. And the third goal scored by Watmore, an emphatic win, reduces the gap, Macca, to only 1 point. And Sunderland, as Gordon mentioned, have got a game in hand.
They've got a game in hand, and the only thing I could see with Sunderland getting out of the problem they're in was Defoe, because he's an out-and-out striker, and he's just different class when he get a chance, and he leads the line well for a little guy. He leads the line well, so he's obviously, there's not long balls going into Defoe, that's for sure. So Sam's got them playing away that he's probably didn't do at West Ham because of Andy Carroll. It was a bit different kettle of fish. Just put the ball a lot high. So they're playing into his strengths, and it's coming good, because if they can keep Defoe fit, he will score goals and he'll get chances in every game, that's for sure anyway, Peter.
Yep, so a good win for Sam Allardyce. Can he pull off the escape act down south? There are a number of issues that are well and truly settled in some of the divisions, but there are still some unanswered questions, and we are going to dissect them, discuss them, and get your thoughts as well on Twitter and on Facebook coming up. We've got penalty kicks at Hampden, and the details are on the way.
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Here, well, we're getting to the nail-biting situation where Hibernian are getting ever closer, Ruffy, to a Hampden final, because at penalties right now they are 3-1 up.
Yeah,
and it's now gone 3-2, Ruffy.
Yeah, if it's 3-2, you know, if I was the next Hibs player to come forward, I'd be hitting this as hard as I could. You know, I'd just be putting it down.
Must be Jason Cummings,
and it'd be interesting to see if it's Cummings or Stoke. I don't know if the two of them, but certainly, you know, this is the moment. There's nothing flash at all here, right down the middle. I think the goalkeeper's got to go either side. I think he's got to hit it
it's
hard.
Cummings.
Well, I can tell you, Hibs have made it 4-2. So that is it. They are through. Hibs have won the penalty shootout, and I think great credit to them the way they dispatched the penalties, firm and into the back of the net. And I'll tell you, fair play to Jason Cummings for having the bottle to go and take the penalty and right the wrong. Gordon Smith, is that fair to say?
He has written the wrong, because as I say, for him to get the winner, I think makes all the difference. People won't remember now that he missed the penalty earlier on, because he scored the winning penalty, he's put them through, and Hibs are in the final. And I'll tell you another thing, here's an interesting question. If Rangers win tomorrow, what's unique about the Scottish Cup final?
2 championship sides in the final.
Well,
is that unique?
No, it's the first ever final Scottish football that didn't have a top league side in the final in history.
Yeah. Is that not what I said, but in a different way?
No, was there any championship teams playing in 1950s or 60s, Peter?
Was there any
teams in the championship in the 1950s?
I don't know. Was they born?
No. There are 2 championship teams, and the championship is a lower league.
There wasn't a. That's what I'm saying. But it wouldn't matter if it's championship or anything. It's the first time there's not been a team from the top league. If Rangers win tomorrow, it's the first ever time there's not been a team from the top league, and it wouldn't matter if it's 2 championship teams or a first division or a second division. It's the first time there's not been a Premier team, a top division team in the final.
Yeah. Did I not say that, but in a different way?
No,
is this a treble or a treble? No. I said it's 2 teams from the championship, which would suggest. I can't believe I'm going to argue this one, but nevertheless, it's 2 teams from the championship, which would suggest that there's no team from the top league.
That's correct. There isn't if there's 2 teams, but it's not a case that it's not the first final with 2 teams from the championship though.
In the Scottish Cup.
Could be a first division or a second. What I'm saying, it doesn't matter what division it was. It's the first time. The actual answer is
no
the first time there's not been a team from the top division in the final.
Okay, and that's our competition for this week.
There you go.
The team from the championship could be in the final tomorrow as well. That's the point that Gordon's making. It could be Rangers, it could be Celtic. Give us your view on it on Twitter at Peter and Ruffy, and also facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, and go on to peterandruffy.com and give us your view on this. Who do you think is going to win the game tomorrow? The Old Firm derby returns. Is it Rangers? Is it Celtic in your mind? Hibs are in the final, and I think for one, I'm looking at the penalty that he missed, and I have to say I'm just slightly delighted for him, because Jason Cummings, when he stepped up, there was a smile on his face. He stepped up, he didn't think about the chip, but I'll tell you one thing, Macca, his penalty, he coolly placed it into the corner.
Keeper didn't move, but you know what, now people, the Hibs supporters will be talking about the first penalty and saying it was unlucky and great that he tried that because they've won and because he's scored now.
Yeah.
Nobody, rather than just forgetting about that, they'll be saying that was unlucky. We appreciate the boy trying it and all that. If they had that, if they got beat, they wouldn't have been saying that. But the boys went up now, scored the winner, and everyone, as you say, Gordon, forgets about it, and you can see the Hibs fans are well happy.
Yep, Sunshine and Leith blasting out at Hampden at the moment. Gordon Smith, Dundee United, I think for a large percentage of the 90 minutes weren't really asking questions of Hibernian. I thought Hibernian deserved it over 90.
Well, probably over 90, you're right, but I felt the game turned around. It's quite funny, I've watched a few games this week obviously at higher level European games where it turned around. A good example was Atletico Madrid, Barcelona. Atletico Madrid were absolutely tremendous for about 70 minutes. Then all of a sudden Barcelona, maybe even 60 minutes maybe, but Barcelona turned it around and started to dominate the game. That happened a bit today. I thought that in the early part of the game, I thought there's only one team going to win this. They missed the penalty, Hibs, and you're thinking, well, they're still going to go on and win it. They still were dominating. But then as the game was wearing on, I felt Dundee United were getting better and better. And I felt that the goalkeeper, basically Hibs keeper, saved them, I thought, over the day.
Yeah, no surprise he'll be the man of the match.
He's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, he's going to be, 2 saves he had in extra time, plus obviously the 2 penalty saves. Yep. I mean, it's funny, because we all keep talking about what's going to happen in the Rangers-Celtic game. That just shows you that anything can happen in a game. I mean, we're all saying the goalkeeper coming in, he's not played for 10 months, or he's the weakness.
Looks as if he's not trained. Looks as if he's not trained for 10 months.
and all of a sudden, he's the man of the match. And that's what happens when you get to big games like that. Strange things are thrown up, but at the end of the day, it's what happens on the actual day of the game.
Is that what they mean when they say you need big players?
Well, listen, fair play to him, because we looked at him
and
again, he goes against the grain of trying to get everybody out there training and getting fit. But he's a goalkeeper. His job is to stop people scoring goals, and that's exactly what he did. And well done to Conrad Logan.
I think that's better for Dundee United, Peter. In the league-wise, do you?
No, I think they're relegated.
I think they're relegated. I know, but I'm trying to make a point to Ruffy, but I was asking you to put it through, because he doesn't talk to me when I talk to him.
But Hibs will now have a slight problem, because they've got to really think about it, concentrate now. The main part, as everybody's been saying, they need to get promotion on that. But I believe personally that a Scottish Cup win for Hibs puts all these players into the legendary status. That's why I think that their mind will be taken up a little bit with the Scottish Cup, because depends, if Rangers get through, they'll probably feel even more so they've got a chance.
But when I played football, all I wanted to do is play against the best players.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I am with Gordon Smith.
I know what you're saying, but that's just it's just wrong.
But you've got to win it, Pierre.
I know you've got to win it first.
Pierre, you've got to win it.
Yes.
You've got to win it.
Yes. And can I just say something?
Once you've won it, then you can say
if they're in a playoff, if Hibernian are in a playoff, the second game comes after the cup final. And if they win that cup final, I still think, like Gordon, legendary status.
Well, there'll be legendary status if they win nothing and don't get promoted.
Well, that's
so there you go. Is that another one?
I still think you would like the chance.
I think so. They get promoted. If they win nothing, get promoted.
If they don't get promoted and they don't win a cup, they'll be legendary status, because they'll be getting slaughtered.
If you were a player, and if you were playing, you were playing for Hibs.
I would like to play in the top league.
Somebody said after the game, what did you achieve when you were at Hibs? In front, you say, I played at the top level.
I'm not a case. It's not a case of that.
I won the Scottish Cup. What would you rather say?
I'd want to win the two of them. I'd want to play at the top league.
Yes, but what would you rather say?
One or the other.
I would want to play week in, week out in the top league against the best players.
So wait a minute, you're a Hibs player.
Of course I'd want to win the cup, but you can't say
away from
that.
being a Celtic player.
I'm not talking about Celtic player, I'm talking about St Mirren. I'll play St Mirren, playing at top, or playing at Ibrox, or playing at Celtic Park, playing against the best players.
Or win a Scottish Cup medal.
I would love to have won both of them, but
that's not what he's offering. He's offering you one or the other.
Week in, week out, I'd rather play against the best.
You'd give up the Scottish Cup.
When you talk about your St Mirren career,
I would give up,
You haven't won it since 1902.
I don't care.
And you're part of that team.
I'm talking about me as a player. I would rather play against the best players week in, week out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
But what I'm saying is that your St Mirren career, what did you...
It doesn't matter.
Did you win
it doesn't matter.
Did you win in St
We won a corner once. It was great. We had a good weekend.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
Because we get beat 3 times in some in the semi-finals. But we were playing every week against the best players in Scottish football.
Yeah.
So because of that, I became a better player.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to play my trade down the Championship.
So see if
I didn't want to play down there. I wanted to play in the top league, and that's all.
See if Hibs win the Scottish Cup, it doesn't mean to say they can't actually get back into the top league again. That doesn't disqualify them forever if they win the cup.
I understand that, but you're going to be playing another season in the Championship.
Yeah, but I think the point we're making, listen, Mac has made his point, he's entitled to it, it's the way he thinks about it, Ruffy. My point is this, you ask any St Mirren fan to rhyme off the 1987 Scottish Cup winning team and they can name them 1 to 11. Now, the point here is, this is a Hibs side that at the end of the day, we're going back to 1902. If they win the cup,
these guys, 1 to 11, will suddenly overshadow some of the great Hibs sides of the 70s, the League Cup winning side.
Yep.
I mean, I could maybe tell you 7 or 8 of the 2 previous League Cup winning sides of Hibs. But I could certainly rhyme off the Hibs team if they won the Scottish Cup this year. And so will the Hibs fans. They'll be legends.
Yep.
Forever.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that, but I mean, obviously, it hasn't happened yet. Just the way that you phrased it,
I know, it's great for the fans. It's great for the fans, but it's not great as a player.
If you start adding things on, you know, what happens if they don't get out of this division and they're in it for another 8 years? Because of it.
They'll always have the Scottish Cup.
You'll always have the Scottish Cup.
They'll always have won it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. As a player, you're talking about support. It's great for the supporters. It is great for the supporters.
Can I ask you something here? Macca is talking about, well, I've been over, I can't believe this programme today. I knew this was going to be a great programme today on the basis that we'll end, it'll be a complete free-for-all at the end. Mac is talking about it from an individual point of view. I'm talking about it from a club point of view and the collective as a team. In the 8 years that they don't, as you're suggesting, say they don't make it out of the Championship in 8 years.
These players won't be at the club.
They'll not be there. Okay. An individual who thinks he's a good player and has developed will move on. You know, they'll all move on, but at that one moment in time, 11 players as a team collectively will be etched in the history of that club. And I think a number of people in the background, your Rod Petrie, your Leanne Dempster, your Pat Stantons, your Jackie McNamara's, they'll all look and say, Hibs winning the Scottish Cup will never be forgotten. They'll all be saying, do you remember what we were doing that day as we went for the dinners together? We walked up to Hampden. We managed to beat Celtic or Rangers in the final.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen anyway.
Frank,
I'll
give you a question. I played at the highest level for Brighton in the top league in England. What do people remember me for?
A good point. That's exactly it. Okay, let's not answer that. Let's look at the fixtures. Kick-off underway. If there's a goal anywhere, I can tell you, Ayr United have taken the lead against Stenhousemuir at Stenhousemuir. Hibs 0, Dundee United 0, but it's Hibs who go through 4-2 on penalties. Jason Cummings scored the winning penalty after missing one in regulation time. Rangers against Celtic tomorrow, 12 o'clock kick-off. The Championship, it's Alloa against Queen of the South. St Mirren against Morton. Dumbarton against Wraith Rovers, 5:15 kick-off. What about League 1 and League 2 on offer this afternoon? Let me take you through them on the basis that they've just kicked off. League 1, Albion Rovers against Cowdenbeath, Brecon City, Peterhead, Forfar, Airdrie, Stenhousemuir, Ayr United. There's that goal up there already, and Stranraer against Dunfermline. And in League 2, no goals so far, but it's Annan against East Stirling, Arbroath against Berwick. We'll keep our eye on Clyde against East Fife, Elgin City, Queen's Park, and Montrose, Stirling Albion. And the Barclays Premier League this afternoon. And one match has finished. It's Norwich 0, Sunderland 3, Everton against Southampton, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Swansea, West Brom against Watford, and Chelsea against Manchester City. And let's not forget that the games tomorrow will have a significant impact on the top end of the table. Bournemouth, Liverpool, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and Leicester City against West Ham. Macca, can you look at the team that you used to play for and think, okay, on this occasion I'd just like them not to win this game?
I think whether they win or lose, I think Leicester's going to win the league anyway. I think they're good enough that I think they'll get a result. West Ham had a bad result during the week, but they didn't deserve to win it, so they took it in the chin and they move on. And it would be great. It would just be West Ham's season to go and upset the odds and beat Leicester. But you know, I think the West Ham fans even will be, you know, they'll be pleased when Leicester go and win the league, because it's just a fairy tale, isn't it?
Do they have a rivalry with Tottenham, West Ham at all?
Yeah, they don't like Tottenham, so
right.
Yeah,
so
they don't like them at all. So,
they
don't even discuss them. Yeah, they've got a big, so they would want Leicester to win. And if they were going to win and get beat tomorrow, they'll be quite happy that Tottenham don't win the league.
Yeah, Michael Donald scored that goal for Ayr United, and isn't it great? I can still hear the echoes of the great Wallace Mercer and the words tribalism. It just exists everywhere, Ruffy, doesn't it? West Ham, Tottenham, Rangers, Celtic tomorrow. It exists everywhere.
Yeah,
Your own little patch.
Man, you see clubs that have that rivalry, and you wonder, you know, why.
I'll tell you right now. Let's go to New St Mirren Park. Derek Clark.
And it's a fantastic opening goal for St Mirren. St Mirren 1, Morton 0. Terrific strike from Lawrence Shankland. A strike from around 20 yards out into the top corner of the net, giving Derek Gaston no chance. St Mirren 1, Morton 0.
Thanks to Derek. And Brecon City have taken the lead against Peterhead. Andrew Jackson scoring the goal there for Brecon. So the goals coming in early in the lower leagues today. Some of these clubs will be playing in the lower leagues forever and a day. Some of them would love to be Hibernian. They're in the Scottish Cup final. They're going to play either Rangers or Celtic. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Gordon, you know what it's like, because there's a great little bit of needle. If I can just deliver a quick baseball bat to Macca just to keep this battle going, I will all throughout the afternoon. Because the great thing about these guys is they're going to argue, hopefully with you offering your tuppence worth as well, on Rangers against Celtic. We heard from Mark Warburton obviously talking about Rangers Celtic and what's on offer. And let's hear from the Celtic manager Ronnie Dyler, because he's confident that if Celtic are playing at top form, they'll win.
We have played 3 semi-finals now, and everything can happen in one game. So that's why cup is cup. That's why everything happened, as you see in the game yesterday as well, that things turn around very, very quick. But having said that, we are right now the best team in Scotland. And that's something we should be proud of. That's also giving a lot of confidence. So we know when we are playing at our best that we can beat anybody. And that's also Rangers.
So if they play to their true potential, they'll win. But I think sometimes, Ruffy, this season when it's been in big games, the manager has obviously stated in a press conference what everybody believes, and then it hasn't materialised. Should it be a foregone conclusion that Celtic will win this one based on the fact the top of the Premiership, they have a bigger and better squad, as Mark Warburton alluded to this morning in the newspaper headlines?
Yeah, I think you can throw out as many stats and as you want, you know, but on the day, strange things happen. Players can get sent off, players, you know, can score own goals, you know, anything can happen on a day like this, like in any other game. And it's not the first time the best team has not won a football game. It really annoys, not the right word. I mean, we start talking about people saying, oh, we've spoke to him and we've spoke to him, he's played in a game and he's played in a game. That means hee-haw on a Saturday. It means, it just doesn't mean anything. It means that the 11 players that come up against each other, how they play on the day. We all know that he's better than him, but sometimes these guys don't perform. I'm always on the assumption that if you've got 11 guys in a team, on any particular day, there's only 7 of them going to perform. If you get 11 of them performing, you're going to win. If you get 7, it depends on what the 7 are that go out and really play to potential. I don't think you ever get 11 guys going out and playing to the highest potential in any particular game. So both teams have got players, if they perform, can win this game.
I think if you look at Rangers against Dundee, I think the 11 players playing that game, they played out of their skin. It was probably the best I've seen Rangers play, and they all played their part. But I just, same as what Ronnie said, if Celtic turn up and play, Rangers won't match them. If they play to the best of what they're capable of, then the Rangers will not be a match. And it's not anything. I mean, I've been getting pelters on social media because I say that. It's true, if Celtic turn up and play, but this season you don't know what kind of Celtic team is going to turn up. Yeah. And that's the biggest problem. So I think if Celtic turn up, play their capabilities, then they will beat.
I think looking at the two sides, Peter, we look at the tactical side and the player side. I think that Ronnie Dyler has got more of an advantage in one respect. he's got more players to choose from.
Yeah.
He's got a position for the match tomorrow where he has to decide who he's leaving out. Matt Warburton's got a decision to make in terms of who he brings in to cover, because you think about it, he's without 2 players that are cup tied. O'Halloran and King both have to be left out. Now Forrester is injured as well. He's lost Waghorn as well. So he's got 4 players there who, and they don't have a huge squad, Rangers. You look through and you think, well, what are they going to do? They're going to be bringing in players who have been basically on the outskirts of the team most of the season.
That's true though, Jing. It's just a wee saying he's injured.
No, I think that.
A wee ploy.
No, I don't think so. I think they're saying that Waghorn is.
Waghorn's not. Yeah,
not going to play, and Forrester's got a broken leg.
Yeah,
so he's out.
The other two.
O'Halloran and King are cup tied though. It's not.
It's a strange one. It's 4 players that.
But they can't play.
O'Halloran, I know O'Halloran no miss. I rate the
well.
Waghorn, they've missed the goals. Yes. But I think they've been out. They've known they're going to be out for a few weeks now because of the cup tie.
Yeah, but that's why the Forrester one was a big blow, because that meant in terms of how Rangers were going to play, it was going to be Mackay, Miller and Forrester were going to be the front 3 without doubt, with Holt playing off them. I think they'll play Ball in the midfield. I think they'll need some strength in there, and they'll play him and Halliday together. But Celtic, the biggest thing for Celtic is they've got a bigger range of players in order to who to pick.
Yeah,
it's a match-up, isn't it? It's a match-up who they're going to play, who's going to match up with Scott Brown and Beaton, and that's the beauty of the game.
Yeah, well, let's look at the probable lineups on this one. We've kind of thrown them together. There's the Rangers one. There's no Derek Johnson, Ruffy, but
he picked the team.
Yeah, the team that. Listen, give us your thoughts, Ruffy, on that team. Gordon Smith, you can give us your tuppence worth on it as well. Is it going to be too far away from that? Maybe Ball in that holding, Shields dropping into the 4, Miller up there on his own.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be far away for that. I think the back 4 picks itself. The goalkeeper picks itself. It'd be interesting to see how the Rangers manager's thinking. It'd be great, because I think it'd be tactically, when there might be something that he sees that we don't see, that he needs to nullify in that Celtic team. We think we know that Celtic's going to play with 2 holding midfielders, 3 in front, 1 up front.
Yeah.
He might tactically try and combat that, but I think you're right in Ball, get into a more forward role to try and nullify somebody in that area. Yeah, I don't think you'll be far away.
I don't think that's the system. I think Rangers are going to play the same system as Celtic. It'll be a 4-2-3-1.
I think Holt will be in the middle rather than out wide. I don't know.
I don't know about right now, but he'll be in front of. I think they'll play Halliday and Ball with Holt as the attacking player, and Shields and Mackay as wide too with Miller. Yeah.
And on that point, Gordon, it's something like 8 Rangers players could be making their Old Firm debut. Does that matter?
I don't think it does. I think that they'll go, and it'll be a big occasion for them. They might love it, as I say, and be able to play. They'll know they've got to raise their game, because it's a higher. Well, exactly. It's a better opposition than they've been used to playing against. But the Rangers have actually improved as they've gone along against Premier League opposition this season, because they were very poor against St Johnstone. First game against Kilmarnock, they played okay, played quite better in the replay, and then as Frank said, the Dundee game was a major one, because Dundee had played Celtic in the previous game and drew 0-0.
Left a few players out. Left a few players out of that game,
and then Rangers beat them 4-0. So it did show that Rangers are improving against Premier League opposition, which is a sign that these players can cope with playing in the bigger level.
Yeah, well, listen, experience sometimes can be helpful. None better than David Weir. He was very experienced in Old Firm matches, and Mark Warburton has mentioned that he'll be helping a lot of the lads who haven't sampled an Old Firm derby.
David Weir's played in many games, Kenny Miller, Jim Stewart, etc. They've played in the games. Lots of experience within the camp at the moment. But there's pointless saying, I know what's coming. If you haven't played in the game, you'd be foolhardy to say, I know what's coming. But at the same time, they're pro footballers. It's what they do. If you're a bricklayer and you're told to build a wall twice the size of normal, you get on with it and you deal with it. So right now, they're pro players who are well prepared. They've worked hard all season. They're in a good place. They've won the league. They're moving on, and they're looking forward to the game. So I think they'll relish it and enjoy it. There's no wobbles. There's no, it's not a bridge too far for them. Far from it. Go and enjoy the occasion.
Go and enjoy it is one thing. The other point I was going to make, Ruffy, if you're a bricklayer and you have to build a wall that's twice the size of the normal one, then you build it. If, on the other hand, you know, I know you actually trained as a Sparky early on. If somebody said that you were coming to rewire my house and you had no experience, I'd be mightily worried. But and you can understand where he's coming from. David Weir will give the boys just a sample of his experience and tell them how to handle it. Kenny Miller, for me, I think will be crucial.
Yeah, but I've said earlier that you can listen to everybody who's been there and done it. It's as the individual how you deal with it. No, Kenny Dalglish and Graham Souness and played in European Cup finals, and they've said, yeah, it was great, fantastic, and they can tell you all the experience. But it depends on you as an individual when you walk down that tunnel, when you go out there, and when you see what you're going out there, how you as a person reacts. I mean, other people were frankly react differently for me, and Gordon will different in different ways. You know, it's how the individual soaks it up, and there will be people. If you go out there and you're listening to Davy Weir telling you advice and Jim Stewart giving you advice, and then all of a sudden Celtic score 2 goals in 10 minutes, that advice is out the window. Because you then, as an individual, have to deal with it there and then. Know what's happened in the past.
Let's look at the possible lineup for Celtic in this one. There's no goals anywhere at the moment of note to tell you about, but there's potentially, in fact, Annan 0, East Stirlingshire 1. But have a look, Macca. What do you think? The only reason I threw in Commons is because I think you've mentioned it. A number of people. I think he's got to play, but I get the feeling, as Gordon Smith mentioned, it could be Gary Mackay-Steven.
Yeah, Gary Mackay-Steven, and then they'll play him out wide and Johansson. Listen, I'm a big fan of Commons. I think he's the best player in the Celtic squad. You know, the boy Roberts, I think he's magnificent. He's coming in, he's shown. This is a game that he wants to show in. Commons, we know about him. He can come into that and unlock defences. Give him an hour if he's fit. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to play. And I think they should play him because he brings something different to the Celtic team. If he's playing Johansson, I'd put Mackay-Steven in before, or Armstrong before Johansson. I'd put him in. But I don't know whether the manager will, because he likes the boy, and it's all about what he does, you know, on the day. But I just think Commons is a great player, Peter. Honestly, he should be playing.
I'm with you 100% on that, Mac. Earlier on, I was arguing with you, and I was totally against you. Now I'm back on your side. Gordon Smith, that's exactly it. Gordon Smith, I don't think there's a catch chance that he'll drop Johansson.
No, he seems to like him anyway. He's another Norwegian, obviously, and he backs the boy. So I think in terms of the team you've put up there, you've got Commons and Johansson. I think it'll be one or the other, and probably he's going to go for Johansson first. I agree with you guys. I would go for Commons first. I think Rangers will get more of a problem with Commons because he's creative and he can score a goal, and he's in better form. He's not been in form, but Johansson's form's not been great. So therefore, I don't see why you can suddenly say I'm not going to play Chris Commons before Johansson just because Johansson's been so outstanding. And I think he will bring in Mackay-Stevens because one of the areas that Celtic will be aware of is the fact that Rangers do a lot of their attacking through the full-back position. So I think they'll want to have people wide there that have got a bit of pace, strength, and will occupy Tavernier and Wallace. They want to have them occupied.
But I don't think Gary Mackay-Steven or Roberts will chase the full-backs back. Well, I think they're two players that are not going to cover their full-backs.
Mackay-Steven's maybe more than... But you know what I'm thinking, Frank? So see if they don't chase back, they might get a worry.
If he chases back, it's taken away from him, and you've got to be experienced to say, well, sometimes you've got to let him go.
Well, what if they don't chase back, then that might be the tactic. Because what you'll then say is, if Rangers are pushing forward the full-backs, the big weakness that Rangers do have at times is that at the back, with Kiernan and Wilson, struggle a little bit because the full-backs have pushed on, and Celtic might want to expose them. So saying, OK, if your full-backs are going, we'll handle that, but we will leave our white men up.
I think they'll get exposed more with Commons because Commons is so intelligent, he comes deep. So now the two defenders think, did one go there? Did somebody go in there and leave one-on-one with Griffiths, which is like, you know, that'll be a wonderful situation as far as Lee Griffiths is concerned. But I just don't see the fullbacks can't stop bombing forward.
No, that's it.
You know, and I just don't know why. Normally, one goes, the other one sits in, or Wallace goes and Tavernier will sit in. That doesn't happen to two.
I mean,
you see them go down the wing, Tavernier across the ball, and Wallace is on end. I mean, it's just not. I don't know if they'll get away with that tomorrow, Peter. I think it could be their downfall tomorrow.
Mark McKenzie has scored for Elgin City. They're a goal up on Queen's Park. As the goals hit the back of the net this afternoon, we'll keep you right up to date with it. In fact, Brecon City are now 2-0 up on Peterhead as well. Not a good day for Jim McInally, but I think they know they're going to be involved in the playoff. And having spoken to the Peterhead assistant Davy Nichols, the boys really feel confident they can be moving up to the championship. All across the afternoon, you'll see the goals. If they go into the back of the net, it'll just constantly come up on your screen. If you're checking a coupon, if you just want to be totally informed over the 4 hours, join in with the debate as well at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, and also peterandruffy.com. We have a Twitter poll as well. Here's an unusual one. Who is going to win the Old Firm game tomorrow? There you are. Now, this one, I can tell you 40% think Rangers will win it, 60% think Celtic will win it. And the good thing about this poll is you don't have to show any great insight or logic to it. You can just vote because you support that team to see if you can get them to win the poll. It's as simple as that, Ruffy, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, everybody will have their own idea from both camps. But I still think it's for me, it's on the day.
Who do you think is going to win? Come on, don't sit.
I think Celtic will win. I think Celtic will win. And the reason I think Celtic will win, I mean, Gordon's touched on Rangers beating Dundee.
Yeah.
All I'm looking at is Queen of the South can score 3 goals against them. Falkirk can score 3 goals against Rangers, and there's somebody else scored 3 goals. Celtic are going to create chances. Celtic are going to create chances that possibly Rangers have never experienced before, you know, having a team coming at them the way that Celtic do. But Celtic have to be in their best form to do that. And that's what the Rangers will be hoping. Rangers will be hoping that this Celtic team that we all know doesn't turn up. Because if the Celtic team does turn up with the right players, you know, Rangers are going to experience a team that they haven't played against for a long time.
I think the biggest boost they got last week, Peter, was Griffiths scoring. And I know it was 2 goals, and people say the keeper should have saved them. As a paid-up member of the Strikers division, it doesn't matter if it comes off your shin, comes off your back, if it hits you in the face and goes in, it doesn't matter, it's a goal as far as, even if it's a deflection, you take that goal, and it gives you confidence. And Lee Griffiths hadn't scored. What a disaster, he hadn't scored in 3 games or something. You know, it was a disaster. And all of a sudden he scored 2, and he will be so confident tomorrow that I think it's a big problem for Rangers defence.
I think the biggest point, Gordon's touched on it, that the Rangers are 4 first-team players down for their best team.
Yeah.
They've got 4 players out that would have made a massive difference, and that's another thing that Rangers will have to handle tomorrow.
That's why I'm saying they'll have to look at, they'll be looking at Shields and Law now probably as the players to come in there, because I think they will play ball in centre midfield, because they'll need protection if the full-backs push on. So Shields has not been a regular in the team. He's a good player. Law's a good player. He's not been a regular. So that's why those 4 players that are missing tomorrow, I know 2 of them are cup tied and wouldn't have been playing anyway, but the other 2, Forrester, I think, has been a bit of a blow to them, because he had come in and looked quite good in recent games there, scored a couple of goals, very good goals, and I think that would have made up, the team would have been easier to pick if he had been available, sort of thing, but I think they'll miss him.
Robert Thompson has scored for Brecon to make it 2-0. Other than that, goals in short supply over the course of the afternoon. If anybody puts the ball in the back of the net, we'll keep you informed right across the 3 divisions in Scotland that are playing this afternoon: Championship, League 1 and League 2, and also in the Barclays Premier League, where the early kick-off was Norwich against Sunderland, and Sunderland with an emphatic win in that one. Barini, Defoe and Watmore scoring the goals for Sam Allardyce's side. There's only a point between them now, and let's not forget the dream is still continuing for Leicester City. They've got a home match tomorrow against West Ham, and they could be well on their way to celebrating what must have seemed like the most outrageous dream at the start of the season, but suddenly an area with a population of 330,000 will be going completely and utterly mental
treble if they win the Barclays Premier League. Everybody's been writing about it, column inches, journalists trying to get in from everywhere to get a seat inside the stadium. There's no room, the press box full, nobody's getting in. Tickets for the last game of the season are exchanging hands for something like £15,000, which is just outrageous, Ruffy. Just crazy money. West Brom 0, Watford 1 in the Barclays Premier League. £15,000 for a ticket, Ruffy.
Yeah, it'd have to be free drink for at least up to about 12 o'clock at night. You know, to get your money's worth out of that.
Let's be honest, it's going to be a one-off. I mean,
maybe free drink at the end of the season.
I don't know about any. Exactly. I don't know about any rest of you think, but you think, are Leicester City going to win the league again continuously?
No.
You'd have to say this is probably going to be a one-off, and it's been a fantastic season for them. I mean, they are actually now 3 wins away from it without having to worry about Tottenham. If Tottenham drop points, then they don't need the 3 wins, but they need 9 points.
You know what?
Gives them a lead.
I was having a great conversation with Walter Smith during the week, and we're talking about the Leicester team. And we're saying, do you think they'll stay? And Walter says a funny thing. He says, where will they go? I mean, Vardy, he couldn't play that way in any other team.
Yeah.
And you think, I think, well, Mahrez will go, but they all fit into the Leicester team. And you think, I never thought about that, but where would they? Vardy couldn't play for one of the top teams because they all go forward.
Yeah.
Whereas Vardy's explosive and because they're under pressure so often, the ball goes over the top. That's where he comes into his own.
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
It's a strange one when you think about it. He's banging in goals. So maybe it's like a glove. They'll just fit together, and whether they would want to leave or not, I don't know.
You have to say, defensively, Peter, they're very good as well, because see their last 10 games, they've won 9 of them to 0.
I know.
They've won either 1-0, 2-0, or whatever. And the last 6 games, 5 of them have been 1-0 wins, and it was 2-0 last week there. But so defensively, they're tremendous. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Ben Watson scored that goal for Watford. I wonder if you can tell me which famous 70s pop group, Ruffy, came from Leicester. Can you remember? It was probably a band that you were right into.
70s?
70s, yeah.
70s?
Yeah.
Shawadi Wadi or something, if he was into them.
No.
Honestly,
Is that right?
Micah, Shawadi Wadi.
He was into them. He was into them in the 70s.
Yeah, Shawadi Wadi, Ruffy, came
There
from
you
there.
I have to put it on record that I was never into Shawadi. I did have a pair of the shoes.
It was the shoes. A bit like the music, but you like the suit and the shoes.
With all due respect, Ruffy, the hair that you have now tells me you were into Shawadi Wadi. The lead singer looks exactly like you. Willie Thorne, Engelbert Humperdinck and Adrian Mole.
Yes,
I was reading up on that, and I saw an article today in the paper, and I thought, wow, is that what Leicester is famous for? It's going to be famous for something else come May if it all goes according to plan. In fact, I think we worked it out that maybe 3 wins will do it, Gordon Smith.
Three wins I do it without having to worry about what Tottenham do. So 9 points gives Leicester the lead from 5 games left. But if Tottenham were to drop any points at all, they might do it in 2 games or whatever, or less even. But they've got hard games ahead of them. So
can I just say to Ruffy, Rafael Nadal has beaten Andy Murray in the Monte Carlo Masters after Murray being ahead. So just thought I'd tell you, I know you like your tennis. So we throw everything in.
Queen's Park have just equalised.
He's been watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been watching it. It's his favourite surface, so you can expect anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. You can interact with us today at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and give us your thoughts. I love some of the comments coming out of the semi-final between Hibs and Dundee United. Hibs are through to the Scottish Cup final. They defeated Dundee United by 4 goals to 2 on penalties. Jason Cummings, he could have been in line for a fair bit of criticism after trying the Vitor Panenka chip in a penalty that was awarded to Hibs in regulation time. It just went over the top of the bar. It finished 0-0. Extra time couldn't produce a winner. And then, would you believe it, Cummings stepped up to take the decisive penalty and strolled up and just coolly placed it along the ground into the back of the net to win and put through Hibs into the Scottish Cup final. If I could just reword that, it didn't. And put Hibs into the Scottish Cup final is what I meant to say. Manchester United leading Aston Villa by 1-0. As far as Jason Cummings is concerned, he said, I've got a new Barnet. I look a bit like Pirlo, so I decided to dink it. Now, not only is he flamboyant on the park, he's great for quotes like that, Mac.
Brilliant. Well, I knew the boy was confident, so you know, to come out and just make a statement like Pirlo, whoa, what a player he is as well. But it's the boy's confident. He was so confident to go up and take it, as you say, Peter. That takes a lot of guts.
Yep, absolutely. I'll tell you, Liam Brown has levelled that game there with Elgin City. Liam Brown, the goal scorer for Queen's Park. So another little quote, Ruffy, that I think is well deserving of your recognition is Conrad Logan. He says, "It's practically a perfect day. I'm buzzing to be part of it." I think it will live long in the memory. I'll tell you why, Ruffy. In a one-off game, where he hasn't played for a long period of time. In a one-off game, he's produced some top-drawer saves and saved crucial penalties. He'll be able to tell them about that one-off game forever and a day.
Yeah, he certainly will. And I did an interview the other day there that goalkeepers, doesn't matter who you are becoming even more important now in teams. You know, if you have a goalkeeper that can win you games, you're going to win things, and it's been proved right down through every World Cup side, European side, that goalkeepers now are making the saves that win you medals and trophies, whereas 20, 30 years ago it didn't really matter who you had, you know, but now the emphasis is on, you know, getting a decent goalkeeper.
He was outstanding, wasn't he? I mean,
a great save low down
during the game as well, but then he kicked off the whole thing as well in the shootout, Peter, because the two saves he made right away put the Hibs on the front foot for the penalty shootout, and that was two tremendous saves he made.
Yeah. What about Marcus Rashford? He just come out of nowhere from the United, reserves, and he's been fantastic. He scored the goal against Aston Villa. I mean, he was good against West Ham.
One thing you've got to give Van Gelder credit for is he's played him. Yeah. I don't know many managers that would have kept him in. They'd have maybe bled him in. He's I think it might have been
I know
last row to draw.
Fergie would have done it. Fergie would have done it, Maka.
Yeah, I don't know.
What? He was famous for putting youngsters in and keeping them in the team. It's a great afternoon, Maka. We are going to fight all day. No, of course he didn't put you in.
Was that too old? I was 24, I might have been too old.
Alan Hansen made his famous comment, didn't he? You can't win things with kids.
Yeah. I always feel sorry for Alan Hansen on that, Ruffy, because quite simply, they had 4 or 5 experienced players who were helping the kids along. Yeah. I think we're doing him a huge disservice when you look at some of the players that were in that Man United side.
Oh, fantastic! You know, they
Gary Pallister, Steve Bruce.
Yeah, you've got everything, but you have to understand it when you're talking Maka and Alex Ferguson. There's a wee bit of
there's a back catalogue.
There's a wee sort of a side issue going on.
That's exactly it. And I think the other thing, and that's a great lesson to young kids over the course of international football, if you manage to get to it, or indeed your first team, it doesn't help going to nightclubs as a pre-match warm-up for the game. That kind of can stop you getting selected for a World Cup squad. Simple as that. So just a thought. I'm not throwing out any story that could possibly come from Mac on it.
Do it your own way.
Yep, do it your own way and suffer the wrath afterwards. As Maka will tell you on many an occasion, a classic line from Sir Alex to Maka: "You're no play."
Was it as polite as that?
Gordon, I'm looking at the Championship and I'm going to go to New St Mirren Park to find out what's the latest from that Renfrewshire derby. Derek Clark.
Still 35 minutes played in this one. Still St Mirren 1, Morton 0. St Mirren enjoying the lion's share of possession in this one. Morton failing to test the St Mirren backline. They're dealing with anything that Morton are throwing at them at the minute. Shankland with the only goal of the game. Fantastic goal from around 20 yards out in 7 minutes. After that, Alex Cooper has had a few strikes towards goal, and Derek Gasson also saved well from Callum Gallagher. But St Mirren well on top in this one. They still lead by 1-0.
He's been a good player for them this season, Ruffy. Lawrence Shankland from Aberdeen on loan.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a young player who obviously isn't good enough to play for the team that he signed with, but he needs to impress. And although they won't have somebody watching him every game, you know, if you're the Aberdeen manager, you're picking up the paper and seeing who's scoring goals. And at one stage, you have to say, well, maybe it's time we had him back and had a look at him and maybe gave him a shot at something that we're talking about at Man United. But he'll know whether he's of a standard at the players he's got in the first team. But certainly the boy's doing himself a lot of good there at St Mirren.
10 goals, good going when you consider the difficult start to the season St Mirren had.
Well, I think what Alex has done, he's went in there and he's just freed them up and let them go and, you know, and express themselves and go and play. And I think that's the biggest difference. I think he just went, look, there's no point in being scared of losing games. Just go and enjoy yourself and, you know, and show them, let them be scared of you. Go and show your ability and feed them up, and the boys are enjoying it. And you all know, it doesn't matter what kind of work you do or, you know, where you work. If you're enjoying it, it's not like a job. And these boys are now just going out and they're applying their trade with a smile on their face, and it's getting results for Alec.
Stranraer 0, Dunfermline 1. The champions, Dunfermline, getting ready for the move back up. If Rangers had a mission 4 years ago, Dunfermline certainly have that mission to get back to the top flight of Scottish football, and they are a big club after all, Ruffy.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I've been watching the attendance has grown and grow as the seasons went on. You know, it started off about 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. I think they touched 5,000 there the other week there, and I'm sure there will be a lot more at the celebrations. And that Dunfermline coming into the division, you know, if they could keep moving up, because we're looking at Inverness with 3.5 and Hamilton with 3.5 crowds. You know, I think a team like that, if they could eventually get all the way up there, they would add something to the top league.
Yep, Alloa have got a goal up on Queen of the South. I'll tell you, Jack Ross is starting to produce a few results. I think he's getting ready now and trying to get his team moulded for, you know, the battle to try and get back up to the Championship next season.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, maybe the fact is that, you know, Queen of the South are in a position just now, they're nothing to play for at this stage of the season, but you're right, Alloa is trying to get things going there. I mean, they won their last game, didn't they? And beat Hibs. Yeah. And they drew.
Isn't it amazing what's happened since he's brought the 10 yards in?
Yeah.
You know, and he came on the show and he explained to us why he did it, because of the players he's got at his disposal. It's amazing the mindset of, there's just you were going to say there, Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of teams go there, just cannot. They've narrowed the park by 10 yards. Yeah, they just can't handle. Obviously, the park as well comes into consideration, but all credit to them.
Yeah, absolutely. They've narrowed it in. It's like a five-a-side partner. I think Macca and myself could make a comeback if they keep this going. If he narrows the pitch anymore. Flanagan scoring for Alloa. Brad Mackay getting the goal for Dunfermline this afternoon. And we're looking ahead to the other Scottish Cup semi-final taking place tomorrow. Rangers against Celtic. If you have just joined us, Hibernian are in the Scottish Cup final, and Jason Cummings scored the decisive penalty, but I think all the back pages tomorrow will be hailing the hero, the goalkeeper Conrad Logan. Maybe a little hasty when I had a look at him running out onto the park. I thought he might have been tired before the whistle had blown to kick the game off, but during the 90 minutes, the extra time and the penalties, Ruffy, he was magnificent.
Yeah, I think he was. You know, and it says a lot about the guy, you know, who hasn't played any active football at a high level, you know, to come into a game of that magnitude and do what he had to do, and some of his saves were top class, one-on-ones, you know, that he just spread himself, and the save he had low down, but the two penalty saves just capped his day for him.
Yep, Newcastle have taken the lead against Swansea. I think it's one of those, it's the good thing about it, I would say, Ruffy, that if he does get all the players to sign his shirt and get it in a frame, I think all the players, the backroom staff and the directors will be able to sign the shirt as well. There'll be enough room for everybody to sign that.
And to supporters.
I'll tell you right now, Mrs. Logan's not going to be happy about this for months. And look at us, me and Ruffy absolutely caning people. And there's Thin Macca and Thin Gordon on the programme. Now we were continuing our build-up and continue our discussions about the Old Firm game tomorrow, but just on that, Newcastle 1-0 up, and if they can hold on, suddenly there might be a wee bit of life in Rafa's team yet.
Well, they've got extra pressure on them because of what Sunderland done, and they will not be wanting the North East. They will not be wanting Sunderland to stay up and them going down. It's just not for. They couldn't handle it, I don't think. So that's the reason why I went for Madrid, Peter. I went for Newcastle to beat them because of the early result. I just thought that was that little bit of incentive to go and do something. And
it's a good point you've made, because that result is against the Sunderland result would be a big blow to them, because although Norwich losing helps Newcastle,
I know, it's still a big blow.
Sunderland are now 5 points clear of them, so they've got to get the 3 points today to keep that gap at 2 points, Peter.
Yeah, Jamal Lascelles scoring the goal for Newcastle, and I think that really kind of tells you all you need to know about maybe why they're down in the bottom end. No disrespect to Lascelles for scoring the goal, Ruffy, but there are a lot of players that have been brought in, quite a lot of them from France, who maybe, as Maka was talking about, sometimes when you're in the the cauldron of a Glasgow derby, just that understanding of what is required. I mean, Alan Shearer knew what it was like Newcastle. Kevin Nolan certainly got a grasp of it as well. Am I being too harsh?
On the French?
No, just on a lot of the foreign players that have been brought in. There's been
there's a policy there that it's been French players that's come in. You know, obviously somebody's identified them, and I have to say some of them were particularly good. Who's the boy that sold on? Was it Cabaye? There has been players, but you're right. You know, they seem to play as individuals and not a team. I know exactly what you're talking about. When things aren't going well, you want players who are prepared to put their foot in and get hurt, you know, and a lot of them don't seem to be that kind of player, particularly when you're sitting where you are sitting in the league.
You know what? You know, Alan, I live down there, and there's such a big club, and there's so much comedy happened in that club.
Yeah.
You know, it's embarrassing. They brought in all these boys, they called it the English Mafia and all that, all the boys to run the club from London and all that. And they brought in Joe Kinnear he's the director of football. Now, Joe has been out of the game for such a long time. Great lad, knows a lot about football, but he sat and he watched the game, and it was a reserve game. He said, I like the right back, we're going to be making an offer for him. He was on loan from Newcastle.
Yeah.
And he's told the radio, we're going to be making an offer for that boy. And he's actually one of their players. And you think, how can a club that size get roped into some comedy issues like that? It's just embarrassing.
It was,
crazy. We're fast approaching half time. Jim Lister has made it 2-0 to Airdrieonians at Forfar. The goals in the lower leagues today is what we're concentrating on, as well as looking ahead to Rangers against Celtic. We have a poll running at the moment. Who do you think will win the Old Firm derby tomorrow at Hampden? I don't think there were too many worries over the pitch. It looked okay at the end, seemed to hold up, but didn't restrict the football that was on offer. The only thing that maybe had been lacking was that finishing ability in the final third for either side. It was decided on penalties today between Hibs and Dundee United. Jason Cummings scoring the decisive penalty in a 4-2 win on penalty kicks taken. So Alan Stubbs has guided Hibs once again to another final at Hampden, Ruffy. It didn't work out against Ross County, but great credit to him. Is he in the running for Manager of the Year?
I think if he was to win the particular cup that you two are talking about, I think he would be up there, and obviously he's still got promotion to go for as well. I said to you last week I was at the Hibs Player of the Year, and although they had come out of that bad result, they were still very buoyant. They believe in everything that Alan's doing, and they've got the wee reward today. Again, it wasn't a convincing performance, and I have to agree with Maka that if they were to play Rangers or Celtic in the final, they would really have to up their game again to win it. But they're there, they can enjoy the day, the supporters can enjoy the day, and they will make the stadium a good sight.
Who won the Player of the Year?
The Player of the Year was John McGinn. The young Player of the Year was Liam Henderson.
Okay, I can tell you that Liam Watt has scored for Brecon City. They're leading now, Peterhead, by 3-1 in that game. I just wonder if Brecon have maybe got their eye on the playoffs and focusing on that, knowing that they will be almost certainly involved.
It's just on that point there. Do you think if Celtic were to win the game, would they let Liam Henderson and Stokes play?
No, they won't. Let's go to New St Mirren Park. Look at Ruffy thinking he's thrown a cat among the pigeons. No, it's already been decided. Let's go to New St Mirren Park. It's half time.
At New St Mirren Park, it's St Mirren 1, Morton 0, and it's a wonder goal from Lauren Shankland. It's the difference in what's been a hotly contested Renfrewshire derby. The goal was a thing of beauty. The on-loan Aberdeen man picked the ball up in the middle of the park and fired a terrific strike into the top corner from around 20 yards out. The Saints came close to doubling their lead 10 minutes later, but Alex Cooper pulled his shot just wide, while the Taunton keeper Derek Gaston also produced a couple of decent stops to deny Cooper and also Callum Gallagher. Morton started sluggishly but came back into the game near the end. Declan McManus came close for them, forcing a good save out of Jamie Langfield. He also flashed a header just wide, while Denny Johnson just a minute ago fired a shot from just wide, from just inside the area. The game's been played at a decent tempo here, and you certainly sense there's more goals in this one as the teams go in at the break. It's St Mirren 1, Morton 0.
So they've got the edge so far in that one, Mac. A long way to go, but I think Alec Ray will be saying keep it tight. Just try and build on that.
Well, you know, that's one thing he's been doing as well. Although he's letting them go and play football, he's trying to keep everything tight. You know, as Alan says earlier, you don't let goals in, you've got a chance of winning games. So, yeah, he'll be hoping that. I don't think he'll be relying on 1-0 pair. I don't think that's Alec Ray's style. I don't think he can do that. So he'll be asking them to go and try and get a second goal rather than shut up shop, I would think.
Yeah, Robert Thompson scored a fourth goal for Brecon City in the last few seconds. That's 4-1 now against Peterhead. And I think I'm going to put my neck on the line, Robbie. I can't see Peterhead coming back this time. I tried that earlier. I know I tried that earlier in the season.
But yeah, I would think if you're 4-1 up at half time, you would think you'd be professional enough to see that one out.
Yep,
it's funny enough, they'd switched off before the final, didn't they? Before the Petrofac final, Peterhead, you think, oh, they must just be thinking about the match coming up, and yet they were poor last Saturday against Rangers, and then getting a hammering again today.
Yep, I'll tell you, everybody and their granny commenting on the Rangers Celtic match tomorrow. It fills so many column inches. It's absolutely incredible. And of course, sometimes you know, they bring in lots of players who've played in it. Even Mo Johnston has been flown in, Robbie, for the Old Firm game, which we'll discuss again in the next part of this programme. Mo can walk around Glasgow, obviously dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire, but he can still walk around.
Yeah, it was interesting. The pictures were taken at 5 o'clock in the morning. There was nobody walking about. So he
when he took his two boys, he got put into the Hall of Fame. One of them had a Rangers top on, one of them had a Celtic top on. He walked in. He says, it's not my fault.
Absolutely. I mean, who really cares who a player signs for?
Yeah.
Especially in the west of Scotland. Anyway, we're delighted he's there. We'll probably see more than a few other faces that have played in Old Firm games. We've got two in here, and we're going to be getting more from Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny after the break.
But Elgin
Heather,
Elgin and
did you get a cup?
It's Scottish Cup Juniors.
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Frank McAvenny, Gordon Smith and Alan Ruff are with me here. Did you see him? Did you see him, honestly? Ruffy, what was he doing? There's nothing worse when our producer says we're back and Macca is doing something naughty. It's as simple as that. Frank is with us along with Gordon as well as Ruffy.
Can I just put it on record that there are 3 people who have played in a Celtic Rangers game, not the
Celtic Rangers game. Listen, I offer my 100% apologies, Ruffy, and the reason why I offer my apologies is because I know that you played in a reserve one.
Yes.
But had you, and I don't think the boys will disagree with me here, had you had any sort of bottle whatsoever, you would have made yourself available instead of Ian Andrews for the 5-1 game at Ibrox. Am I right, Macca?
Yes, I totally agree with you. Can I just say, you're talking about David Weir not looking after the boys. He was to look after Ian Andrews.
Yes.
What chance did the boy have?
Yeah, you made Ian Andrews a shambling wreck.
And absolutely before the game.
And it didn't do him any favours whatsoever. And
well, I have to say that was the manager's fault for making me share a room with him.
Yeah. and the other thing which is rather worrying, Ruffy, isn't it amazing that they've invited Mo Johnson back before they've invited Ian Andrews back to this country?
Funny that.
Yeah. Even Frank Halfie can't come into the country without somebody mentioning 9-3 for England.
Well, not to defend him, but I can honestly say that he wasn't to blame for 5 goals. You know, maybe one of these 5 goals, I would say, he was to blame for. You know, and then he gets labelled
Is that the one I broke my arm?
Ian.
That's the one I broke my arm, yeah.
I mean, the reason I wasn't at the game is I was in Ross Hall Hospital with a broken cheekbone in the morning of that game. So I never
told you not to talk to me like in training again.
But
You played in that match? You played it?
I scored, we were winning 1-0, and by the time I got to the hospital, we were 3-1 down.
Is that right?
Yeah, I scored the first.
There was 18,000 at that reserve game.
Yes.
At Parkhead.
I played with, is that when Duncan, at Parkhead there was one at Ibrox, there was 30,000. I played in a Wednesday afternoon. Duncan Fergus would come back for injured. Honestly, 30,000, bucket in the rain at Ibrox for a reserve game. It was incredible.
There's a huge appeal, I think, which we've already established. What about the half-time scores? Well, in the Championship, we've heard from Derek Clark, St Mirren leading by 1-0 in that Renfrewshire derby, and we will keep you up to date. In fact, can we get those half-time scores up to show you? We can. Alloa 1, Queen of the South 0, St Mirren 1, Morton 0, and Dumbarton against Wraith Rovers 5:15 tonight. Into League One in Scotland, Albion Rovers 0, Cowdenbeath 0, Brecon City 4, Peterhead 1, Forfar 0, Airdrie 2, Stenhousemuir 0, Ayr United 1, and Stranraer 0, Dunfermline 1. Into Scottish League 2, and the half-time scores there: Annan Athletic 0, East Stirlingshire 1, Arbroath 0, Berwick Rangers 0, Clyde 0, East Fife 0, Elgin City 1, Queen's Park 1, and Montrose 0, Stirling Albion 0. And in the Barclays Premier League, there was one match that kicked off early: Norwich 0, Sunderland 3, Everton 0, Southampton 0, Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 1, Swansea 0, West Brom 0, Watford 1, and Chelsea Man City kicks off at 5:30 tonight. So there you have it, the half times, and more chat with the second half kicking off next.
Scottish National in 10 minutes. Should have done that.
It's Steely Dan.
Oh, Dan.
Reeling in
What is
the
that
years.
for?
It's a tribute band called Nearly Dan. They're called.
Nearly done.
Is that right?
Where is that?
Yeah, Oranmore.
Oh, yeah. I know I had a Kit Kat somewhere, didn't I?
Yeah.
I quite like Steely Dan stuff.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I've just got a text. There must
Reeling in
be.
the years, that's right.
Who's
Do
on
it
King Tut's
again, there's
tonight?
another one, wasn't it?
Who's on King Tut's? Anyone know? Do you still keep up with your music, Peter?
King Tut's.
Aye, the night. I
Dunno.
just got a
Conrad.
text. Just got a text from Paolo saying he's going into.
King Tut's?
Aye, he's going into.
Who's on King Tut's tonight? He doesn't know.
Aye,
That's
some
Frank
Paolo's going in to see some.
The Rain Band, the Easy Shades.
Paul and Teeny's one of Paul and Teeny's pals are going in, so he's going in tonight.
The Hazy Shades.
No, I'm going to see Nearly Dan, Alan. Steely Dan tribute band.
Nearly done.
Nearly done. Nearly Dan. Yeah, it should be good.
Never mind nearly done. I think we'll be done tomorrow if they get beat.
Ricky, don't lose that number.
Don't, Ricky, that's right, yeah. A good song.
Magnificent.
It's quite good because I walk from my house, which is excellent. I can walk there. You know. That's
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Frank McAvenny is here with us on the programme. Also, Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith. He really is. I don't know why we persevere with him. He is. Do you know what it's like? It's like having a school kid who's always at the back of the class on this programme, just up to no good. Anyway, we've given you the half-time scores. Kick-off just underway on most of the games in the lower leagues in Scotland. Still waiting for a breakthrough, Ruffy and Clyde against East Fife.
Yeah, I think that'll be at least Fife probably so and try and win that league. But Clyde are on free fall today, just now, but they will expect to win that one and get them back into the playoff positions because everybody is sort of grouping up on that one, and Clyde could quite easily fall out of that, couldn't they, if they don't get their act together?
Yep, absolutely. I think I'm just looking at the table here. They are just in third place, and Annan today you would expect to be able to win their match, but what are you thinking?
not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No, but you would expect them to fight back against East Stirlingshire, but the afternoon is young. There's lots of twists and turns ahead, but there was one little twist in the match at Hampden Park, and it was, of course, the penalty kick from Jason Cummings that was just one of those Vitor Panenka, or if you are of a certain age, an Andrea Pirlo type penalty kick, or if you're of another certain age, an Andy Walker style kick. But when Cummings put it over the top of the bar, we certainly feared for him criticism coming his way, but he stepped up after extra time in the penalty shootout to score the decisive one to make it 4-2. Let's hear first of all from both managers. Mixu Patalainen clearly disappointed.
Totally gutted for the boys because vast majority of the match we controlled the game, we were a better team, we passed the ball, created great goal scoring opportunities, so in the end to lose it after penalties is really disappointing, but all great to the players. We had a poor start to the match. First opening 20 minutes, Hibs were a better team. They started fast and they put us under pressure. We lost a little bit composure during that spell. We didn't keep the ball well at all. Gave it away as soon as we won it. Once we got a little bit composure into our head again, we started passing the ball and causing them problems. And second half, the extra time and the second half, the first period, total command. But if you don't score, you can't win. That's been the story this season. We passed the ball well, we dominated matches, but you know, if you're 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, you would like to think that 3 times you'd like to think at least one goes in the net. But all great today, goalkeeper, they didn't.
So, a disappointed Mixu Patalainen, and I think you can tell when he mentions that when you're 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, you've got to score. And I think that is just a manager speak, you know, just throwing it out there without being overly critical of the player.
I think you can just, he didn't have to name names, you can tell in his voice he's disappointed. Again, he's flung that hint in, if you don't score goals, you don't win games, which is correct. But if you get chances and don't take them, Peter, then you just don't deserve, you know, you don't really deserve to win. And it's the old saying, when you're on top, if you don't take your chances, the other team's going to come back at you, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, in the world of social media, I think the picture of Jason Cummings taking the penalty will go global. If it's not viral by the end of today, or even at this point, I will be gobsmacked, Alan Ruff, because people will say, here's how not to take a Pirlo or a Panenka penalty.
Yes, fantastic. If you can execute it and it hits the back of the net, everybody will think you've got a wonderful ability. But when you miss it like that, you know, that I would have thought, having never taken a penalty before, that the whole burden of taking his team to the final would have fell upon them by that miss. And I think it did affect him for a long, long part of that game. And quite rightly so. You know, you've got to try and get it out of your head. But he had a long enough time to clear his head to get to the penalties. He did the 30 minutes extra time. So thankfully for Hibs that he did gather himself together. And he did what he should have done in the first one, is just use his ability to roll it into the corner.
Yeah, well, I was split on this. I'm of the opinion, fair play to you, go on and do that, son, because if you want to get people back to football, you know, in greater numbers, then let's encourage a bit of flair, a bit of someone, they use a great term in Glasgow, someone who's gallus.
Gallus, yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it was the right thing to do. If you get the confidence to do it, he just didn't. He made a mess of it. He didn't choose the wrong thing. But he comes into the category. He's not in the Pirlo Panenka category. He's more of the Gary Lineker category, because he tried it once and the goalkeeper hadn't dived. Remember? And Gary Lineker just chipped it straight into his hands, and it becomes embarrassing. You make a mess of it.
It becomes totally embarrassing.
Maybe we should just have a couple of somersaults before he hits it the next time. You know, just everybody will come back.
It's nearly embarrassing. Remember, Arsenal done it. Thierry Henry
Pires
made a complete mess of it. Didn't know what to do after it. I thought, well, if you're going to mess it up big. You know, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I wonder what the Hibs manager Alan Stubb makes of it all.
I've spoke to him. Well, I wanted to strangle him. You know, initially, I didn't see it. I went in to go to the toilet, and I was normally when I go in, even at Easter Road, I normally hear a cheer. And then I heard a groan as I was coming out, so I knew he'd missed. I didn't know how he'd missed. And then I'd come back onto the bench and a few of the lads are shaking their heads, saying he's tried to dink him and he's dinked it over. So the only thing I would say to him is that, you know, if he practices them in training and he's done that type of penalty before, I'll go fair enough. But I'll be telling them, don't ever be doing that in semi-finals or finals. If it goes in, if it goes in, everybody's talking about what a quality finish it is. You know, how cool and calm and collected he is. If it doesn't, people can say you look stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this season, Alan Stubbs, apart from the fact that I think he's put together a very good team, I love listening to him, Ruffy.
Yeah, and as I said, just to go back to the player of the year, he got up in front of the supporters and you could feel from his heart how they were feeling and how he was feeling the last month or two that they've had, and he just told everybody to stick together, and you could feel even when the players that were sitting there were believing everything that he was saying, and that's a sign of a good manager, to go up there and everybody was all going in the right direction, and they've got the benefit today and he'll be hoping that they can keep going in the final.
I mean, it's still great that he's got them to 2 finals. You know, the 2 major cup finals while they're in a division below the top level. It's still outstanding. Even if they lose the Scottish Cup final, it's still, he's done great to get them to 2 finals, because they've had very good results against Premier League opposition this year.
Yeah, I actually think he's a class act, and again, you talking about the way he speaks and conducts himself, whether it be a Hibs Player of the Year award ceremony, or indeed I had the great honour of standing next to him when he was talking about Jordan Moore, the Dundee United player, who had a cancer scare. That with cancer it could be life-threatening, and Alan Stubbs was able to talk about his own experience, and he discussed it that night with great dignity, tremendous class and encouragement for a young boy who would have been filled with fear, Macca, and that one moment of listening to him in a speech, I thought, here is a class act.
I think he's a genuine article when it comes to that. He's so, I've met him a few times and I've always I thought he was a really nice guy, and he's came through, and he's came through his own trauma. It's the same as Big John Hartson. When he talks, it's through experience, which we're all delighted that people that get any illness can come through it and talk about it and help other people. And I think people that have got illnesses, when other people talk to them that have came through it, it makes a lot of sense. And these boys are. Alan Stubbs, he's been on it. I think he's going to be a great manager. I really do think he's going to be one of the top guys.
Ayr United 2-0 up on Stennismuir. Craig Moore with the goal there. So Ian McCall's men in a good position in that match. So we're keeping up to date with all the goals right across the country in the Championship, League 1 and League 2 today. Hibernian are into the Scottish Cup final, as you've just heard from the Hibs boss, Alan Stubbs. Celtic take on Rangers tomorrow. It's a sellout. You can't get a ticket for love nor money. And we've been hearing from all and sundry. You can tell it's a big match because not only have the pundits been flown in fact some of the former players have been flown in, but the pundits have been having their say as well. Macca's been interviewed about it, Gordon Smith, Alan Ruff, of course, Chris Sutton, again just lighting the touch paper, and Walter Smith as well. Chris Sutton saying Celtic are playing against a team that won the 2nd Division and the Petrol Tank Cup. I mean, I'd love to be able to write columns, Ruffy, when you're somewhere in Suffolk as well. It's absolutely crazy. It's magnificent. Listen, we've got 4 minutes before the start of the Scottish Grand National, Ruffy. I'm going to go for See You at Midnight. What are you going for?
I'm going to stick to my own forum. I'm going to go for the top weight. Cause of Causes.
Cause of Causes, okay.
I think top weight's the hero today then, obviously, after the Hibs game.
Yes, top absolutely. Good link.
Yeah, good link. I'm going to go for Royal Night.
Royal Night, okay. Macca?
I was going to go for See You at Midnight, but you just stole my thunder, so I will go for...
Cause of Causes?
Why don't you go for Steal My Thunder?
Steal My Thunder,
Stole My Thunder.
Stole My Thunder, there you go, I'll go for that one.
Steal My Thunder?
Steal My Thunder.
I was going to write that down.
It's not running.
No, I'll go for Golden Chieftain. It's Golden Chieftain now. Is that running?
I like it.
Golden Chieftain.
Is Golden Chieftain running? That's there, isn't it? Is it?
Why don't you go for Folsom Blue?
Just... Why don't... Aye, right, okay. Why don't I go for Golden Chieftain? Is that there?
It's Golden Chieftain there.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, we'll put that down.
Chieftain.
But I have to say...
Is that running? Is that running? Yeah.
Ruffy, have you ever left the dressing room? Ever? Everything is a wind-up.
That was a good line.
I'm happy with that. It's not running today, Macca.
I got to give you credit for that one. That is good.
Anyway, we'll keep you up to date with the winner in that situation. Now, the other thing I was going to say to you, we've heard from Mark Warburton on the experience of David Weir and the likes of Kenny Miller. Of course, Ronnie Dyler was talking also about the game tomorrow and the chance once again in a Scottish Cup semi-final to rectify some of the wrongs that have befallen his team over the last couple of years.
That was a special day last year, of course, and it's a day we'll never forget. It was a big chance that we was taken away from us. But again, now we're here in the same way, and of course a new opportunity to reach the final, and that's what we really want. And it means a lot for the players, the whole club, and the fans as well. So we're going to be ready.
I think it still annoys him. Is that fair? Maka Inverness Cali Thistle last year, the referee, it still sticks in his throat, as it does in many fans if you're denied the chance to get into the final.
Of
or
course,
win it.
but of course it will. But I just don't think they deserved it. They deserve what they got. I thought in the final they should have put up a better performance. What he's not saying, Ronnie, and he'll be, he'll be disappointed. They didn't put up a show that they could have done, even with 10. They didn't do it. They didn't all stand up and be counted. What you want in a final. And Ronnie will know that because the players didn't. He said at the time they didn't turn up.
But the discussion point on that, Peter, that goal, that situation last year was a big mistake. Celtic should have had a penalty, right? And now I'll draw a line with that with what happened this week in the Barcelona Atletico Madrid game. Penalty should have been awarded to Barcelona late in the game.
Yeah.
I still feel, and I've been saying it for years now, television evidence should be part of the game at the highest level. The game should be, within seconds, before even Barcelona took their free kick the other night, we'd all seen that was inside the box. If the referee could be told that right away, he could correct the decision right away. And the same with that one Celtic game. That could have been corrected very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Gordon. And I don't think we're too far away from that. I think there will be trials, and I think once that's established, it'll be much the same as goal line technology. You can give us your thoughts on that at Peter and Ruffy. We'll read out some of your tweets and some of your messages on Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. Annan have got an equaliser against East Stirlingshire. Oh, ye of little faith, Ruffy. I told you it was going to be a long afternoon. Smart Osadolor has scored for Jim Chapman's side there in Montrose. A goal up on Stirling. So Graham Webster scoring the goal there. If there's a goal in any of the big matches, we'll keep you up to date with it. The drama in the Barclays Premier League is unfolding over Saturday and Sunday. Norwich 0, Sunderland 3 from the early kick-off today. Borini, Jermaine Defoe and Watmore scoring the goals for Sam Allardyce's team. They're now a point behind Norwich, and there's a real battle at the bottom to stay in the Barclays Premier League. At the top end, everybody wondering if Leicester can actually do it. They are playing West Ham United. And I can tell you there's a goal in the Renfrewshire Cup match, and let's go there now in the Renfrewshire Derby. I beg your pardon, never mind Cup. Let's throw in a cup for it anyway. Here's Derek Clark.
Yeah, the fans of Morton are going crazy because they've just equalised. It's Denny Johnston with a fantastic strike into the bottom corner of Jamie Langfield's left-hand post. It was a counter-attack from Morton. They caught St Mirren cold there. It's game on. St Mirren 1, Morton 1.
There you are. That wiped the smile off Frank McAvenny's face as Morton get the equaliser, and you can tell there's a great atmosphere in the background there, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear the roar of the crowd, but obviously the majority of the fans in there probably will be Morton. But as I say, that we spoke about him earlier on, Denny Johnson, Peter, that you mentioned. What a good job he's done, and I agree with you totally. He's done a tremendous job this year, and he certainly is a player that Morton will want to hang on to.
Yeah. Ruffy, can I just mention to you that this is Hibernian's 14th Scottish Cup final. I think they've levelled with Hearts on their appearances in the finals. I think that deserves special mention as well. We can talk about 1902 till we're blue in the face. Getting there is good as well.
No, and I have to say, through the decades, Hearts have had the Midas touch on Hibs. There have been long years when Hearts have had a lot of success, and Hibs have been in the wilderness as far as cups are concerned. So, yep, there's rights to be put right, and it remains to be seen whether this team can do it.
Well, they'll be remembered for years for getting to the cup final.
Yeah.
You don't remember forgetting there.
No, you don't. Nobody remembers getting there.
No.
It's
all about.
Well, I'll tell you what I do know. You'd rather lose in the final than lose in the semi-final, because at least you're getting to a final, and that's what everyone strives to get to.
Yeah, I don't think too many people remember anybody that was in the semi-finals.
No.
Stranraer 2, Dunfermline 1. Malcolm scoring the goal for Stranraer. So they are in the lead in that match, and I think
Dunfermline if they were downing tools in the last few games of the season. I don't think anybody would begrudge them that, because they put in a great effort, Alan Johnson's side, and I think when the awards are handed out, certainly at the PFA Awards, Gordon Smith, Dunfermline will be up there in that division, picking up most of them.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, you often see this when a team has actually, achieved what they're going to achieve in a season, they sort of switch off a little bit, and that's the thing. They'll probably lose some games between now and the end of the season just because the league title's sewn up and they've nothing else to play for.
Holiday mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at the Player of the Year award in League One, Ruffy, and if Fasil El Baktui doesn't win it and Alan Johnson doesn't pick up the manager, I'll be gobsmacked. And I'll tell you, let's go back to New St Mirren Park. There's another goal there, Derek Clark.
Yeah, Mark is breezing to celebrate because St Mirren have just gone back in front, and it's Callum Gallagher with a terrific side foot strike from just inside the area into Derek Gaston's left hand post. It's 2-1 St Mirren.
And if you wanted to see the trademark smile from Frank McAvenny, you can. Here it comes now. There you are.
There you go.
There you are. That's it. Magnificent. It's the teeth looking superb, and he's happy because St Mirren are back in front, but there's a long way to go, but they've got the goal. We were talking about tomorrow's Scottish Cup semi-final. Who is going to meet Hibs in the final on the 21st of May? Well, we'll all have it decided by about 2 o'clock tomorrow, I reckon. We'll all be fairly aware of it, unless it goes to extra time and penalties. I know a few people who think it might go that way. Of course, people who've sampled it. I mentioned that Mo Johnson's in to Glasgow for the game. Walter Smith was talking about the game. He's got so much experience. Let's hear from the former Rangers manager on how he thinks this game will pan out.
The Rangers themselves, I think, as I say, they go in a little bit, a big bit more optimistically than last season. But it'll be interesting to see how the players themselves handle the challenge of playing against the best team in the country in a semi-final. I think that's the big thing for Rangers. I think the weekend's game will stand on its own. I don't think it'll be a great indication of what will happen next season now that Rangers are back in the Premiership. I think both clubs in all probability will sign players in a close season, so the teams could be different next season. But this season's team, the interesting aspect overall, I think, is to see how Rangers can handle a step up in standard.
So that is the interesting aspect of this one. Can Rangers lift themselves to a level just to maybe throw down a marker, Gordon, more than anything else?
I think so. I think there's, if you look at the game, you're looking at the two teams, and you're saying, well, Celtic are better at the moment in terms of experienced players, having done it at the Premier League level. They've not been at their best this year. Rangers have performed pretty consistently. Sometimes they've been absolutely excellent, but in the main they've been pretty decent. They've been a little bit shaky at the back. In recent weeks there, they were losing quite a few goals. They were losing 3 goals a game for 3 matches, so they lost 9 goals, and you're thinking, well, they're a bit vulnerable at the back. They've turned that around in their last game, but it's all down to the day. Walter Smith knows this himself. How do players perform the day? You can never tell who's going to be good, who isn't, what parts of the team Celtic are going to cause problems to Rangers for, and vice versa. I think it's a very, very hard one to predict. But if you had to say who should win, you'd have to go for Celtic as a team that should win, because they are the higher league.
Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. They're playing against better players every week, so they've got to be in a higher level, and because of that, they're a better team. It's just. I know what you say about cup finals and all, but it's just playing against the best. You want to play your trade against the best players that you can, and I think that's what Celtic's doing, and I think they'll win quite comfortably tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Alloa 1, Queen of the South 1, Derek Lyle with his 15th goal of the season. Even in his twilight years, Derek Lyle just keeps scoring goals. We've been mentioning him all through the season, Ruffy.
Yeah, we certainly have, and guys will tell you when you go into a scoring run like that, everything falls on you for a play, and if you're good enough, you take them, and that's what he's done.
So, we've heard from Walter Smith. What about Bobby Petta? We had him as a guest on the programme on Thursday night to look ahead to the match, and he reckons the pressure is all on Celtic.
And it's all how you apply yourself and input of all the players as a team collectively, and obviously with the manager. It will be a big game for a lot of the players who have not played in Old Firm before, and everything to play for. Celtic are going to be the ones under pressure. They've got all the pressures on them. Rangers doesn't have that kind of pressure, but this is an Old Firm game. Everything can happen. So as I said, I just hope it's going to be a close game and a good advertisement for Scottish football.
Pressure's all on Celtic, according to Bobby Petta. They're expected to win it. Give us your view at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We were talking about the tips for the Scottish Grand National. Ruffy, how's it all panned out for us?
Well, I have to say, Peter, your horse was leading going into the last and looked a comfortable winner until he took half the fence with him. And they would just run out in the run in. So you ended up third.
Who won it?
Vincent won it.
It's not Vincent. Vicente.
Yeah, try and get that right. Vicente. Vincent was Don McLean. Surely you should know that. I mean,
I like to look in his face. You asked him a question, he was talking, and it was great because he was watching the National.
Yes,
he was just winging it. He was just winging it.
The great thing about Ruffy is, when we actually get him and ask him to watch your monitors for games, he can't pick up on it.
See, if it had been Vincent, I would have gone for that because I would have, because it's a great song. I love it, and what won the main Grand National was "Rule the World," which is another song I like. So if that had been Vincent, I noticed it was Vicente. Vicente.
Well, that is fantastic. That's really good. So I'll be looking out for Alive and Kicking, Vienna, and a few other 80s classics that I could come up with. If there's any horses running like that, inform me immediately, because we'll be firing it onto them. It's simple as that. So Vicente wins the Scottish Grand National.
Another bad day for Peterhead, Peter.
Wow.
5-1, they're losing to Brechin. Bottom of the league, Brechin.
I think the tools have been put away there. They know they're. I mean, I'm looking at the division. They're in the playoffs. Nobody's going to catch them. They're in there.
No, but that's good for Brechin because they're getting off the bottom maybe today because they're fighting to avoid that bottom spot to get into the playoff position.
Yeah, it's terrible for Peterhead because they're in the playoffs, and if they keep getting thumped, it's not going to be.
I mean, they lost.
This
will be their fourth defeat in 4 games.
It's only a point between them and Ayr United if it stays this way.
Yeah.
So it's 5-1. Yeah. Jim McInally will not be happy about it. You just wonder if there's the fallout from the Petrific.
You think so, but I mean, they'd lost their 2 previous games as well. Then I didn't think they played well in the Petrific final. I've got to be honest with you. I think it was one of the most one-sided games
even Rangers didn't play well, to be honest with you. But it was so easy for them.
And then they're losing again today. Is 4 defeats in a row. And what you're saying is right, that they're not. The best thing they can get is in the playoffs. Now, if Ayr United get above them, then they'll have to have extra playoff games, won't they? Yeah. So it becomes a bit tougher if they're not going to win some games here. But you have to say that they're on a bad run.
Yep, they are on a bad run. Well done to Robert Thompson, who scored a hat-trick in that match. Always good to try and get your goals tally up before the end of the season. You might want to give us your view on who you think should be manager or player of the year. It's always tough to try and come up with names as well as we reach the business end of the awards season. Of course, the red carpet comes out, Macca. Everybody gets interviewed and players can let their hair down. Everton 1, Southampton 0, and it's Ramiro Funes Mori has scored the goal. A good triple-barreled name there for Roberto, don't know his middle name, Martinez. Nevertheless, Everton, and I wonder if you could agree with me on this, Macca, Everton fans are not too happy with Martinez.
No, they're not. There's something not right because they've got such a wonderful array of talent on show there, and they're just not producing some results that they should be producing. You know, that would be a great result today, beating Southampton, but it must be a good game of football because they do play decent football. They've got Bartley, they've got McCarthy rather, not MacArthur, and they've got some wonderful players down there. Baines, I don't know if Martinez, I don't know if he's the fallout or something with Baines, but I don't know what the situation is.
They've been pretty inconsistent with those. I think they've won one of the last 5 league games, Peter, but they are in the cup semi-final.
They've played all right.
They play decent football.
They've played decent football, but they've just not got that killer instinct.
I think they've lost. I think it was a big factor. I think Jagielka's out just now. He's a key player for them. When he's playing, they're a bit stronger at the back.
Well, he brings the boy stones. He's still a young man. That's the great thing about having experience beside.
Yes.
You know the potential, if you like.
A young player alongside each other. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Luke Crawford has just tweeted saying Peter Houston, Manager of the Year. It has to be.
Talk about Peter Houston. How are you getting on with your bet with Baird? Has he not scored anymore?
It's looking grim, Ruffy. I think he needs 2 hat-tricks to actually get me there.
Yeah,
still 6 short, John Baird.
Yeah, but he's still got games. Got to keep believing.
That's a good song.
I don't know if you
keep believing.
Let's bet on keep believing as well. I don't know if you are aware of this, Macca, but the bet is near enough. I think it's off because Mark Waghorn had to score 40, and I had John Baird in at 25, or we would have been heading out for a meal, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the boy got injured. So I think that would have been a good one to go for with the amount of goals that he'd been scoring. I don't think he'd have been too far away.
Will Griffiths get 40?
What's he on the now?
I think he will.
35, I think, isn't he?
37, I think it is. Yeah, you'll get 40.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I was just going to say there. Resist yourself.
Don't say nothing.
Mac, if you want to wear the same dress that I'm wearing tomorrow in a wig, fantastic. Okay. Before we go back to some of the games where there should be goals, hopefully before the end of the 90 minutes, midweek European football was simply superb. Suddenly we have a Champions League semi-final with Manchester City against Real Madrid and Atletico against Bayern.
Yeah.
Could Man City emerge as the winners in the final with Pep playing his team against the team he's going to join? Yeah,
that would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? What a finish to the season that would be when you get one manager who's taking over from the other one. But I think, I'll be honest with you, I was predicting the last 4 for quite some time, and I've got 2 wrong because I thought that Barcelona would be there and I thought Paris Saint-Germain would be there. I was quite surprised, but I have to give a lot of credit to Atletico Madrid. I mean, Simeone has
brilliant.
He's done an amazing job there. I mean, with the resources he's got compared to Real Madrid and Barcelona, and the way he has them playing, the way they outplayed Barca in that match, I thought was incredible. And I think that you wouldn't rule out Atletico Madrid at all in terms of getting. There'll be great semi-finals, but I can't see Man City in terms of the way their form has been in English football this year. I can't see them winning it.
And Ruffy, you thought Paris Saint-Germain would win it, and you got it woefully wrong.
Yeah, not woefully. Not woefully. I thought
slightly wrong.
I thought the goal in the first leg was the killer for them. I thought they had more than chances to score more goals than what they did, but they never took them. I just liked the way they played, and I thought this was possibly their year, but disappointing in the second leg.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's amazing, Peter. The stats on Ronaldo in his Champions League is unbelievable. The goals, he's better than anybody.
But I feel sorry for. I mean, it's funny me sitting here saying I feel sorry for Ronaldo, but if it wasn't for Messi, you'd be, how far out would we be talking about Ronaldo?
The greatest, I know.
The greatest ever and all that, and he's just...
He's done it so often.
I know, but poor him, because Messi's done better most seasons.
The nearest scorer to him, I think, this year is Lewandowski at Bayern, and I think Ronaldo's scored more than double what he scored in the Champions League. It's incredible, and
he's got more to come.
That's why Real Madrid would have to probably now be set out as the favourites.
Isn't it amazing that even if Real Madrid win it, they're still talking about replacing Zidane? I mean, that's incredible, Ruffy. I mean, you just wouldn't do that. I mean, you give him his chance next season again, wouldn't you?
Well, of all the clubs, it's the supporters that dictate. If their supporters turn against you, it's a very hard one to get yourself out.
You think he's a hero?
That's
You think he's
the same as any
a
club,
club legend?
I think
He's a
it's
club legend, it is, though, isn't he?
It's the same as any club. If the supporters turn against you, that's your time's up.
Why would they turn against somebody who's also a legend as a player?
And he's won the derby. Well, it's a strange suggestion that it's a derby, but the two of them, Barcelona, he won that match and at the Nou Camp.
Absolutely, and scored the winning goal in a Champions League final for Real Madrid.
One of the best goals I've ever seen. For a final,
That's right.
Hit it about this height, wasn't it?
Sensational. McManus has scored for Alloa to make it 2-1 against Queen of the South. And again, Jack Ross's side just really piling on the pressure and maybe surprising a few this afternoon on the back of that win against Hibs. So, Man City, Real Madrid, Atletico and Bayern Munich. Who are you picking from that one, Maka?
I'm going to go for Atletico.
Madrid.
To beat Bayern and get to the final.
I think Atletico are amazing. I think they're fantastic, but I just think Bayern have got that little bit more than them in terms of the physical strength. Barcelona didn't have that to compete with Atletico Madrid. They've got technique and ability and the physical side of the game and the hard work stopped Barca playing, but I think Bayern will be able to cope with that better. So I think it'll be a Bayern Real Madrid final. A fascinating game.
I mean, I think it's very good to both semi-finals.
They'll be worth watching.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Bayern. I think.
Sticking with Bayern. You went for Paris Saint-Germain.
That was my second choice. We were allowed a second choice.
Oh, were you?
Hold on a second. You don't rewrite history.
No, Bayern, right from day one, Gordon back up.
You mentioned on this programme a couple of weeks ago, are you changing your mind? And you said, yes, I am changing my mind. I am going for Paris Saint-Germain.
My exact words were, I don't think the three big teams are playing particularly well, and I think that one of the teams just under the big teams might just slip in. And you said, who would that be? And I said Paris Saint-Germain.
Okay. Yeah, and a lot of nonsense he talks.
Well, not only that, I can remember the day.
I remembered it.
I know. He just makes it up.
Honestly,
it's not the big teams and one under the big team. That's what it confused me. It's the big teams and one under the big team.
Yeah. Sadio Mane has scored for Southampton to equalise against Everton. Ronald Koeman. There's talk of Ronald Koeman not being there in the summer. Might get a big move somewhere else, but Southampton seem to have it right in their academy, as well as bringing in good players.
I think you look at them and you think, you know, he's seen something in Van Dijk down there. I mean, I think he cut out a lot, but I always believed that he had the potential to become one of the best centre halves going about. And he's learning his trade down there, and he's learning it well, and he's learning it quick. And you've got to give him credit for that. But you've got to give Koeman, he's not signing a contract till the end of the season, all that kind of stuff. He's doing everything right.
Okay, Arbroath have won, Berwick won, an equaliser there, and also Annan won, East Stirlingshire 3. Ruffy, it's a long way to go in that game, but it's not happening. I'll tell you, I mean, I'm looking at that there, and that is good news for Clyde if they could just get a goal in that one, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that they could. I mean, you think the East Fife, are top of the league, but Annan losing as well, it'd be a big boost for Clyde if Annan it looks like Annan are going to lose this game. But the funny thing about East Stirling is
Clyde's just got a man sent off, I think.
Yeah, the East Stirling they have a man down. They're down to 10 men, but the East Stirling, as I say, they're quite strange outfit, Peter, because some of their best results have been away from home against the bigger teams. The teams up the top of the league, they do better against the teams up the top of the league than they do against the ones down beside them.
I'm just worried here because we have a treble that looks okay at the moment with St Mirren. What about Cowdenbeath? What's happening there, guys? We're still waiting on the first goal.
Still waiting on a goal, yeah. I can't believe that's a 0-0. I mean, Albion Rovers, Cowdenbeath. I thought Cowdenbeath would have been a goal up by now, but 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go. Who picked Cowdenbeath?
Me.
Okay, just testing you. So I'm going to go for Real Madrid then, Maccabi. Well, I'm going to go there because you're on Atletico, he's on Bayern. Nobody fancies Man City with any modicum of sense to win it. Surely, do you fancy Man City? And what about the Europa League? Now, if you're talking about a game
that was just mesmerising. It has to be the one that secured Liverpool their place in the semi-finals against Villarreal. The other semi-final is Shakhtar Donetsk against Sevilla. But Gordon, I've never witnessed anything like it. Anfield looked as if they were down and out, and suddenly Liverpool have the most unbelievable comeback to secure their place in the semi-finals.
It was a stunning game. I mean, on the night that everything was, obviously the minute silence for Hillsborough, the fans were singing, obviously, as well, the anthems and all that sort of thing. And then you look at it, the performance on the night. It's the way the game started. You're thinking Liverpool have no chance here tonight. Dortmund are far too strong for them. What a comeback it was. It was an amazing comeback to be 3-1 down at the stage they were, not playing that particularly well, being outplayed to a degree, not looking a bit shaky at the back. But then, as I say, as the game went on, they got better and better, Liverpool, and it was so exciting. See, when you get a winning goal like that, Peter, in the last minute of a game from that scenario when they had to score. I mean, that was one of those situations. They were out if they didn't score, and by scoring they're through. It was amazing.
Apparently at half-time, Klopp was reminiscing and saying about the cup final where they came back for 3-0 against Istanbul, when he was talking about that, and he said, this is your night to create history, your own kind of history, and go out there and do it, and they've done it, so it's all incredible. And to go and do it against your old team, I think it's, because let's be honest, Dortmund was his teammate. He brought them up.
He's a legend.
When they played,
absolute legend at Dortmund.
When they played Bayern Munich, it was at Wembley, wasn't it? It was like incredible. The final. It was just incredible for a small team to get to the final and just to play the kind of football that Klopp had him playing was magnificent, I think.
So who do we think is going to win it, Ruffy?
Bayern. I think Bayern have the...
Bayern?
Bayern not in it.
They're not in it.
I said Shakhtar Donetsk. I've got actually a small flutter on Shakhtar
they've no chance.
To win that. I was impressed with them during the week, comfortably at home. They're very, very good at home. I don't think anybody will beat them.
Is that Shakhtar Donetsk to win the Scottish Cup, or is that Shakhtar Donetsk?
Them for sure, Derby.
Okay. Newcastle 2, Swansea 0. Who am I going for in the... I'm going to go for Seville. To win it for the third time. Moussa Sissoko scored that goal, incidentally, for Newcastle. Gordon?
I'm with you, Peter. That's who I was going to say. Seville as well, because they're the holders. Such a strong team.
I'm going to go for Liverpool then. I'm going to fly the flag.
What?
I'm going to fly the flag for Liverpool.
Which flag are you flying and who's it for?
Don't care.
Liverpool to win it.
What flag have you got?
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Liverpool win it.
I've got a lot of flags in my cupboard.
I have a lot of time for Klopp. I think he's tremendous. I like watching him. I like listening to him. I'd like him to win it, but I just think Seville will.
Like his brother.
Go on. Go on.
You want to do your guy.
What's his brother's name?
There you are, honestly.
Get out there.
You know, you can always tell when Mac has died to get his gag in, can't you? Just waiting like a
I just wait there.
Clippity clop. That's the quality. Anyway.
Can't buy this.
What about the latest from New St Mirren Park? Let's go there and find out as we reach the closing stages with Derek Clark.
Last few minutes of this one, it's still St Mirren 2, Morton 1. You have to say St Mirren, good value for that lead at the moment. Alex Ray's brought on Jim Goodwin just to showed up at the middle of the park there. He took off Callum Gallagher, who looks like has scored the winning goal in this one. So as we entered into the final stages, it's St Mirren 2, Morton 1.
So that would be a good win, and again, wins like that against great rivals buys you that little bit of time as well. It sticks in the minds of the supporters, Macca, as you go into the summer break to try and get your own players in.
Of course it is, and it's not so long ago that the feel-good factor went back to Paisley when Alec took over and his brand of football, and Tony Fitzpatrick came back to the club, and it was all people were talking about good things and going in the right direction, getting everyone pulling in the same direction. And results against your rivals is always good to start.
Yep, Craig Malcolm scored for Stranraer, now 4-1 up on Dunfermline. That's well, I'm not going to say surprise, I just think it's just one of those end of season results for Dunfermline. They're probably still coming back from the party of a couple of weeks ago.
Holiday mode, as Frank said, but interestingly, Queen of the South have beat Lies, and it looks like Alloa have had a couple of players sent off in that game too. So down to 9 men, and Queen of South are back to 2 each now.
The referee's got Queen of South in playoffs.
Jack Ross is just looking there and thinking to himself, we're going well for this one. Surely there's a win, and it's all come crashing down. 9 men. I don't think. I'm trying to think of the last team in a major game that won it. With 9 men, and I think did Rangers not defeat St Mirren?
Beat St Mirren with 9.
Kenny Miller scored the goal.
Yeah.
In that one.
League Cup final.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alloa 2, Queen of the South 2, as Gordon Smith mentioned there. We're approaching the end of most of the matches, but the big story, Ruffy, is Hibs are in the Scottish Cup final, defeating Dundee United 4-2 on penalties. It will all be about 2 particular players, Jason Cummings and Conrad Logan.
Yep, I would say Conrad Logan more than Cummins. All Cummins had to do was score the penalty. I think he wouldn't have been in that situation if it hadn't been for the goalkeeper. He got his team into the penalty kick competition, so as far as I'm concerned, it's the goalkeeper for me.
You would do that, but
I have to agree.
Yeah,
he was good. He was outstanding.
I'll go for a striker then, because it's because he missed it, the way he missed it, you know, and then coming back and having the bottle, because let's be honest, it is bottle to come in and do that. And
it was good he did. I'll give you, Frank, it's good he did come and take his penalty to win that. That
takes
is a big
guts,
factor. It does, takes guts, and it takes away totally from the penalty miss. That's why Alan Stubbs could have a laugh about it later on.
He looked calm and cool and all that when he got to take a penalty. Believe me, there's no way he was that calm. So you got to give him credit for that, and that's why I give him it over the keeper.
When we were looking towards tomorrow's Scottish Cup semi-final, Ruffy, today, crowd not as big as we had hoped for, just over 20,000 there. This will be packed to the gunnels tomorrow at Hampden Park for the 12 o'clock kick-off. Some of the players have been commenting on the build-up to it, with the police coming in to just talk to the players about their conduct. How important is that for this game tomorrow?
I think it is important, you know, because we know both sets of fans will react to anything stupid on the park. We've seen it before, that if players don't behave themselves, it can, with certain segments of the crowd, not everybody, fortunately enough, but it could spark trouble. And we all know, before we go into the discussion about scoring a goal and taking off your shirt and running into your own fans, that's the kind of thing that could spark something like that. So I think that would be something the police would be sort of trying to say to the players, these are the things that can happen. Just try and no, I don't mean don't go to the other support and start making gestures and all that kind of thing.
Listen, they said that the last time, Ruffy, last year they were talking about it, and I just thought, you know, being from Glasgow, I thought there's no way I thought that both sets of supporters were, you know, there was no way there was going to be trouble at that last game. I went to the game and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot of banter, and the only problem I had was people were saying, oh, I'm offended with some of the songs, and it wasn't sectarian songs, it was just songs singing against each other, and I'm thinking, when was the last time anyone got hurt being offended? You know, it's just some people just are too serious now, Peter, you're not allowed to say anything, and it's getting to that, when you score a goal, especially in an Old Firm derby, celebrate, you know.
Yeah, I seem to remember Lee Griffiths scored the goal in that last game and ran towards the Rangers supporters. I think, you know, somewhere along the line you have to show a modicum of sense in this one, because not everybody can conduct themselves in the manner that you conduct yourself in. So I can understand the seriousness of this situation with the police. I think the police are right, especially with a powder keg like this game, because at times, you know, there are certain individuals who don't know how to behave. So I can understand why they're mentioning to the players, but as Steve McManus mentioned only yesterday, players are there to play a game. They can get caught up in it, Gordon.
That's what I mean. A lot of the things that people do, it's off the cuff as well, Peter. It's not as if it's pre-planned. It's just the excitement of the moment, and some people, it's the same when a player with a bad tackle are reacting to a challenge and hits another opponent and all that. It's off the cuff. It's something they didn't they didn't think they would be doing, but you never know how people are going to react to certain situations.
To take a little bit of magic, Peter, that something happens and you flick a ball and smash the top corner. It's just something that happens, and they're human. Players are human.
Yeah.
They don't mean to cause any bother, but they're just, they're caught up in emotion. And believe me, for me, it's the biggest derby in the world. It's the biggest game in the world. I've been all over the place and I've seen games, but as soon as said in Istanbul, it's the biggest derby even over in Turkey. When as soon as put the flag out, he said, to beat that derby, he says, and it does beat that derby, he says, and that takes something.
Ayr have scored again, Ayr are 4-0 up.
Well, let's hope none of the Old Firm managers go into the centre flag tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That would be over the top.
Talk about taking guts. I was just about to say, talk about guts, Peter. That's it. That takes an awful.
I was just about to say, any Rangers or Celtic manager who puts a flag in the middle of the centre circle, tributes will be pouring in. I think it's fair to say. Newcastle 3-0 up now in Swansea. They've got the win there, and Andros Townsend has scored the goal. Finished as Newcastle 3-0 up there. I think that game's fairly secure for them. East Annan 1, East Stirlingshire 3. That's a big win. East Stirlingshire have had some good wins this season, Gordon Smith. Some strange and unexpected ones at the bottom end.
Absolutely, Peter. Looking at their results, they're sitting at the bottom of the league now. They're quite some way behind, but you've got to say that amazingly, most of the good results they've had away from home and against the best team.
Yeah, let's go to New St Mirren Park right at the death. Derek Clark.
Yeah, it's the icing on the cake for St Mirren. St Mirren 3, Morton 1, and it's influential Stevie Mallon with the goal in the final closing stages of this game. Great breakaway. Alex Cooper did the hard work, cut the ball back to Mallon. He simply fired past Gaston to make it St Mirren 3, Morton 1.
Yeah, Stephen Mallon, I think a number of Premiership clubs, Ruffy, are looking to try and steal him, especially on the cheap, but Alex having none of it.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that clubs like Partick Thistle, Dundee will be looking at a player like that. They know he knows that he can score goals, and they'll be looking at John McGinn and the progress that he's made since he's left. So, and I'm sure if they do lose him, they'll want to be compensated. And that sometimes just helps it along the road if you get the right money you're looking for.
Yeah, of course the biggest problem comes for Alec Rain trying to replace those players and trying to get players that want to come to St Mirren, not only on the budget, but do you go for the experience or do you go for the younger players? How do you build that team, especially on that tight budget?
Exactly, it's a mixture of both for St Mirren's point of view. They've got to try and get players in, they maybe be looking in the lower leagues as well to try and bring guys forward, maybe looking at the bigger clubs who are releasing people who are not getting a game. I mean, the lad Shankland, it'll depend whether Aberdeen feel there's a future for him at the club, whether St Mirren can get him or not. Yeah. But they've got a good youth system there too, Peter. They do bring through kids, and I think going forward, I think their youth system will work well for them.
Let's go back to Paisley. Full time between St Mirren and Morton. Derek Clark.
Yeah, it's finished here at New St Mirren Park. St Mirren 3, Morton 1 as the Buddies climb up to 6th in the championship table with a hard-fought but ultimately well-deserved victory here this afternoon. Lawrence Shankland opened the scoring with a wonderful strike from around 20 yards out that nestled into the top corner on 7 minutes. Morton drew level against the run of play on 58 minutes when they hit St Mirren on the break, and the talisman Denny Johnston fired past Jamie Langfield into the bottom left-hand corner, but the Ton were behind again just 4 minutes later when Callum Gallagher pounced on a mistake in the defence to side-foot an effort into Derek Gaston's bottom right-hand corner. Then just at the death, Stevie Mallon put the icing on the cake with a right-footed strike from close range after great work from Alex Cooper. Morton's long wait for a victory in this derby continues. It's finished here, St Mirren 3, Morton 1.
So the home supporters by far the happier. We might get a wee word with the St Mirren boss, Alec Ray. I'm sure Derek Clark will do his damnedest just to make him come up and have a wee chat with us, Macca.
I like the way he talks as well, Alec. When he came out, you asked him a question, Peter, about some of his players. Was it Mallon you were talking about? Somebody made an offer for him. And he says, I don't even worry about that, Peter. He says, I've spent more than a takeaway. I thought, wow, that just sums up Alec, doesn't it? It was brilliant.
I think he actually told the manager who placed the offer in the first place that exact same line. Such was his disgust at the offer. Of course, only a fool would have gone for Cowdenbeath to take something in Albion Rovers. And there goes the treble for another week, folks. We'll just keep it going.
Is that the only one we got wrong in the treble?
Oh no, we got them all wrong.
We got them all wrong. See, I get 2 right.
I got 1 right.
I get 2 right.
Why did you learn, Marker?
I get 2 right. Clyde didn't score.
Clyde didn't score.
I got my other one. I got Man United, Newcastle.
Well, Cowdenbeath didn't score either, so that
Absolutely.
So,
how did your team do, Ruffy, in this one?
Draw as well, I think.
A draw.
Yeah.
So that didn't work out. Only one team won in the treble today. It was St Mirren. We will hear from Alec Ray. Coming up in the next part of the programme, we will again look forward to the Scottish Cup semi-final. Give us your thoughts at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'll reflect on some of the scores today in Scotland and the lower leagues. We'll look towards the Barclays Premier League tomorrow, where Leicester City have their eyes on the big prize. Who'd have thought? Join us after the break on Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. One 0.
Yeah, 1-0 the one.
Yeah.
How long we got here?
Aye, Villa are down, yeah.
Oh, they're down 3 games into the season. How long we got?
3 minutes. Giving you the full-time scores. If you have a coupon on, then always good to check to see how it is all fared, or if it's just your favourite team, you want to know how they've performed over the 90 minutes, then get ready, because we can go into the championship first of all, because there were 3 games on offer today, and this is how it finished. Alloa 2, Queen of the South 2, St Mirren 3, Morton 1, and of course Dumbarton against Wraith Rovers kicks off at 5:15, and as you can see at the top there, Hibs 4, Dundee United 2. That was after extra time. It gone to penalties, and Jason Cummings scored the all-important winning penalty to send Alan Stubbs' team through to the Hampden final on the 21st of May. So, into League One, Albion Rovers 0, Cowdenbeath 0, Brecon City 5, Peterhead 1, Forfar 0, Airdrie 2, Stenhousemuir 0, Ayr United 4, Stranraer 4, Dunfermline 1. In Scottish League 2, it's Annan Athletic 1, East Stirlingshire 3, Arbroath 1, Berwick Rangers 2, Clyde 0, East Fife 0, Elgin City 1, Queen's Park 1, and Montrose 1, Stirling Albion 1. In the Barclays Premier League this afternoon, there was an early kick-off. Norwich 0, Sunderland 3, Everton 1, Southampton 1, Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 3, Swansea 0, West Brom 0, Watford 1, and Chelsea against Manchester City kicks off at 5:30. There are 3 games to look forward to tomorrow in the Barclays Premier League. Bournemouth, Liverpool, Leicester against West Ham, and Arsenal take on Crystal Palace. After all those results, I think the Scottish Cup semi-final today had a little bit of drama towards the end of it. Chances, well, not as many as we would have liked. Certainly not a classic over 90 minutes and extra time, Macca, to be honest with you.
No, definitely not. But I think the right team won it in the end. Yeah, I know it's penalties and it's a lottery when it comes to a thing like that. But yeah, I think the right team won it, so I'm quite happy about that even. And I'm quite happy for Cummins, because he's been in a very important game all season. You know, he tried something a bit cheeky, something that I like, but, you know, it just didn't do it right. But then he went up and, you know, he got his rewards by keeping going, and he got his rewards by winning the game for them, so that was very good.
Yep, Jason Cummings, maybe not the hero on the day. I think, Ruffy, that belongs to Conrad Logan.
Yep, I agree with that. Big man come in, and not a lot of match fitness, which was obvious to see, but to go into a game like that, a semi-final, and play to that standard and make the saves for your team to win the game was super.
Yep, and I can tell you that Beath will be looking forward to a final there in the Scottish Junior Cup final. They defeated Kilwinning Rangers by 1-0. 2-0 actually, Ruffy.
It's over 2 games.
Over 2 games, yeah. Oh, second leg to come. Thanks for correcting me on that. I forgot that about the Junior Cup. Thanks for keeping me right, and you'll keep me right after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. You can tell we're on a weekend where Rangers and Celtic are about to lock horns at Hampden, because we're all arguing here in the studio. It's fantastic. There was an edge to the start of this programme, and it's continued all the way through into the final hour here. Thanks, Ruffy, for reminding me, actually, the Scottish Junior Cup semi-finals are over 2 legs.
Yes.
You were actually... just motioning to me. You mentioned there you were going 2, and I thought you were unhappy with me at the scoreline, but then you were mentioning it's over 2 legs. I should have remembered that on the basis that we did the Junior Cup semi-final draw in the first place. So Beath have got a 1-0 advantage away from home. Also Hurlford 0, Pollock 0.
Yep, I think the Pollock-Hurlford is the one that everybody will be looking at. Obviously, I think the return game's down at Hurlford. Again, it'll be a couple of thousand people at that game. It'll be a tremendous atmosphere. But what we're talking about at the Rangers-Celtic game, you're hoping that the junior players can behave themselves as well, because it's a big bit of the Scottish Junior Cup for everybody concerned. So you want it to pass very, very smoothly.
Is it as bad as it used to be? Is it not? Have we not matured, Ruffy? Is it not just?
I think it's basically. There's not a big police presence as there is at the big games. You know, you probably get. There's not very often you get junior games with 2,000 people at it, and generally, 2 policemen would find it very difficult to handle any trouble at these games.
The helicopter and horses didn't count the last time.
That's what I'm saying. Well, they obviously didn't think anything was going to happen, so there was no police presence there.
Right.
And I think when you've got a police presence, then supporters generally behave themselves. But it's unfortunate, and that's why at both, doesn't matter what level you're playing at, you would hope that everybody behaves themselves.
I think they will. Tomorrow, I think, we're looking forward to a good game. We certainly hope that there's banter. I don't think you want to take rivalry and friendly banter out of the game, Gordon Smith. That's one thing that we want. We just don't want anybody abused or anybody, any physical harm. I think go to the game, come back from the game, enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. A lot of the supporters, though, are emotionally involved in it, though. That's the thing. It's like, it's all very well to say it's just a football thing and a bit of banter and all that, but once that game starts, as I say, and you experience what it's like, some people just lose it totally in terms of what they expect from the game, and the rivalry things there. A lot of people, like, the hatred comes through with some people, and it's a shame because it does take away from it, but nevertheless, it's one of the things that makes it, as a special occasion, as I say, because you just think this is a game that both sets of supporters want to win on a major basis.
It's not just that, Pete. When I played, I mean, I was friendly with a few of the Rangers boys, like Coisty and all that. We would kick lumps at each other. There was no love lost when you went into a tackle. It wasn't anything like that. We were there to win that ball, and then then after it you go for a beer, and that's the way it should be. There was during the 90 minutes we just basically didn't like each other, and then after it you go and have a beer, and that's the way it should be.
And that's what the fans demand of the players. And the good thing is, when Frank and Ali went for a beer, it was in Edinburgh. It certainly wasn't in Glasgow, that's for certain.
It was at half time.
That's another point, Gordon. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. You would think when you're a hero, when you're the man of the match, you would think people would actually acknowledge that and get your name right, but on the Scottish Cup site they've said, well done Conrad Jones, man of the match. Just one little thing to get right, Ruffy. Surely you know the boy's name's Conrad Logan, and all his family will be looking forward to the headline with his name at the top and the man of the match champagne.
Yeah, you would like to think so. You would like to think they would get that right, and eventually get it right if they have got it wrong, because he is the man of the match, and I don't know how. I don't want to be playing in the final.
Do you know what I think
Why?
after that?
No, you couldn't keep.
I think goalkeepers. I don't know about you, Ruffy, but I've always felt a goalkeeper position is about form. And if you play well, you deserve to be in the team, whether you're regarded as the best.
Let's be
of
honest,
the two
they've been
keepers.
letting
If
in
you're in
goals.
form, you stay in the team.
They've been letting in goals recently,
Yeah.
and he's been.
He's
You know,
outstanding
he's
today.
part of the defence.
I think he should stay in.
Get him
No,
fit,
I
he might
think-
be.
Final?
Just get him fit, he
Yeah, I
might
think
be
the
better
boy
than that.
The boy Oxley's the number one. I know.
Do you think the boy Oxley would have saved any remedy?
Oh,
Well, there you go.
that's a tough one, isn't it,
But
Mark?
he's a goalkeeper,
Yeah.
that's what we're all about,
Wait a
getting
minute,
tough
see if
questions. Yeah, asking tough questions.
I can find that crystal ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been letting in goals. He's been letting in goals.
His defence has been letting in goals.
No, it's a keeper's fault.
Two centre,
Don't
you
blame
just keep blaming the two
defenders.
centre halves against Falkirk were shocking. It had nothing to do with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, can I ask you something, Ruffy? Who gets the nod for the final then for you?
The
Oxley?
number one goalie, yeah, he's number one.
Yeah.
You know, I know the guy's played particularly well today, but he wasn't playing today because he was banned. You know, not because of lack of form.
Gordon?
I think whether he plays in the final or not, I'm not sure. But what I think is he should play the next game, because I think
Give him a chance.
if you play like that, you do today, you stay in the team.
Yeah, I think he should stay in the team and give him a chance. Let the next couple of games even and see if he can produce that. It might be just a one-off, the big boy. So.
Okay, I'm going to go to New St Mirren Park because the St Mirren boss, Alec Ray, has joined us, and it'll give me a chance to speak to Alec Ray about that win today. Alec, first and foremost, thanks for joining us. Congratulations. How good does it feel to get a Renfrewshire derby win?
Oh, it was great, Peter. I was absolutely delighted. I'd be more delighted if I started getting a fee off your show. That's twice this week I've been on. I won't hold my breath, Peter.
Yeah, well, to be perfectly honest with you, Alec, there's more chance of you getting the exact fee for Stevie Mallon if you sell him.
Yeah, this is true, yes.
What did you make of it?
Doc, listen, it was a right ding-dong. It was a tough game, a typical derby. I was actually pretty disappointed, even though we were in 1-0 up at the break. I just thought we lacked a bit of dig, and in derby games it was just I just felt as if it was coming from Morton, and what I said to my after, it's a derby, let's get wired in. And to be fair, the second half we managed to do that. We gave away a really cheap goal. My first instinct was it was offside. I'll get an opportunity to see that in about 20 minutes. And then obviously there. But the pleasing thing for me, Peter, is the way they keep responding, this group of players. That was on the back of a bad defeat last week when we lost in the last minute to Falkirk, and they come back today and won a local derby. So it shows a lot of spirit, and I think as a manager you can organise teams, you can preparation and stop everything, the corners, set plays, all this type of thing, but you can't put character into people, and I think that's the most pleasing thing for me.
Yeah, I mentioned Mallon there and how you would like to hold on to him, Alec, and of course 10 goals from Lawrence Shanklin can't be underestimated either.
Well, the good thing about Shanks is it's I managed to blackmail him. So if I promised him an Old Firm ticket tomorrow if he got a goal last week, so he managed to get that. So it's the way his heart. He likes one of the Old Firm teams, so we've managed to blackmail him. He's managed to get another one. I don't know what I've got to pay him for today's goal, but whatever it is, we'll do it if he gets another goal next week.
Well, I think it's a great little story that you've just you've told us there, Alec, and how he's going to respond being a Celtic fan in the Rangers end is another matter.
Oh, you'll be right beside me then, Peter.
Absolutely. Just on the point of getting the win today, Alec, the fans want to win that game because there's a great rivalry. How important is it? Do you buy into it? Just thinking, okay, I know you want to finish as high as possible in league, but does it cut any ice with you finishing above Morton?
Oh, Peter, one of the things is people will tell me prior to the game, which is always the last thing you want to hear, right? 17 years since Morton last beat us. I think it was 1999. And as a manager, you think to yourself, I don't want to be the one who loses that record, you know. So there's a wee bit of added pressure from that point of view. But you could actually feel the intensity of the fans today. Once we went back into a 2-1 lead, there was a really good atmosphere at the park today. And then when we got the third, you know, it was it gave them the bragging rights effectively. So. No, I've been involved with many derbies from, you know, Falkirk all the way up to the Old Firm and London, West Ham, you know, all these things, North East derbies, Black Country. It just means so much to the fans, and I've got to say I was relieved when we got the third goal, because obviously Morton were trying to press for that equaliser, so it just put the icing on the cake, really.
Yeah, and the last point, Alec, you just mentioned something there I think is so appropriate for all the previous derbies that you have been involved in, whether it be in the North East, whether it be Wolves against West Bromwich Albion, or indeed the big game that's coming tomorrow. You mentioned to your players, you know, this is a derby, let's get stuck in. How important do you think tomorrow's Old Firm derby is all about heart, desire and the will to fight, as well as, of course, the craft?
Well, the thing is, effectively, in my experience, the ones that win the individual battles and collectively as a team then tend to go on and win the games. I always remember back when Celtic came to Ibrox one time and John Hartson smashed Kyriakos within the first 20 seconds. That was a tone set, and then Celtic went on and won that day. And I've also been involved with ones myself where I was trying to break that record of hitting somebody within the first 15 seconds. So it's, but it is important, you know, you try and set the tone, and I think one of the key things when you're playing in Old Firm games is you have to be aggressive, but you have to have your emotions in check, because you can quite easily lose that. And as I said in the programme through the week, I was saying that when you lose guys like McAvenny, Robertson, Butcher, Woods, they were all getting wired in, and even top internationals can actually lose their head in the kind of atmosphere of that game, and I think that's what makes it so special.
Okay, listen, Alec, I'm going to let you enjoy the win, and obviously Ruffy and myself will speak to you late tomorrow night if you answer the phone.
I'll look forward to it, boys. Have a great weekend.
Excellent. Great win for St Mirren, 3-1. And again, we're talking about, you know, Rangers against Celtic tomorrow. Alec just confirming there, you know, whether it's St Mirren against Morton, whether it's, you know, Wolves against West Bromwich Albion, it's all about that attitude, it's all about desire and the will to win and the physicality of it.
The physicality, I love it. It's an old school, isn't it? You know, getting good at digging and getting stuck in, and it's just, you know, you can do all the tactics of the world, but unless you, as Alex said, unless you win that individual game with who you're playing against, sometimes you just got to roll the sleeves up and then, you know, win the battle, and then the ability that you think you're better than him will show through in the end. But you've got to put your foot in, you've got to be strong, and you've got to be brave, especially in an Old Firm, the heat of the Old Firm derby. You've got to do that, Peter.
Another thing you have to be very careful of who you're telling to get stuck in. You know, there are some players who just lose the plot and have it in the back of their mind, or my manager saying I've got to get stuck in, and then there's a 50-50 in the first minute, and they don't appreciate that there's a time when to get stuck in and a time not to, and they just let themselves down. And we've seen it on numerous occasions in big games. I think it was a couple of big games with Hearts and Rangers there, and right the first 5-10 minutes somebody got stuck in. And referees are also under pressure in this game. They have to react to that kind of tackle, and if you give him something in the first 4 or 5 minutes to deal with, you better make sure that you win part of the ball.
They didn't nowadays though, Ruffy, they let people away with it because they didn't want to. Nowadays they didn't want to get the bookings in early, because then they realised they were going to end up having to give a lot out, because that's the way the game was. So the first 10-15 minutes people were getting away with anything really, any tackles possible, or just the referee just accepted it. It's an Old Firm game, got on with it. So you couldn't complain about any of the tackles you had to be careful.
Terry Hurlock used to do that as well, and I think it was Alec, it says, it was 60s, it says, you know, he was used to get stuck in, And at half time he came in with this big gas leg, and to this day they don't know whose it was. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's obviously not out the night. He's just getting ready on the
You're getting the back catalogue today of Marcus.
I don't use that.
Oh no, absolutely. Copyright somewhere.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, if it's a physical game, who wins that battle in your mind, Gordon Smith?
I think probably Celtic are
bigger.
physically bigger.
Yeah.
I think they're a bigger team than Rangers are all round. Rangers are relying on their pace, movement and passing, and I think that will be the key to the game. If Rangers do well tomorrow, it will be because they move it quickly and they get at Celtic that way, whereas Celtic, I think, physically are stronger.
Yeah. You can give us your view at Peter and Ruffy. Before we finish, we've got a poll running, which we will indeed give you the final result before we say farewell tonight. Who do you think will win the Old Firm game? At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, and also you can go facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy 2, and you can give us that. We might hear from Jim Duffy as well, the Morton manager, after the game today. Disappointed with the loss against St Mirren, but we might get a chat with the Morton boss shortly as well before the end of the day. We're talking about the Scottish Cup semi-final today. Hibs defeated Dundee United on penalties, and some of the Hibernian players certainly dispatched their penalties with great aplomb. But Ruffy, you just wonder if Rangers and Celtic will have been practising penalties today.
Yeah, you would think that being the professionals that they are, they will be. You know, I think I don't know about the guys, but any time I've seen it being done, it's done very light-hearted. You know, it's not a competition. You know, it's people step up. You know, and they will actually ask who wants to take a penalty. There's no point in throwing a penalty on somebody. Obviously, you have to know who's on the park at the end of the game. But certainly there will be guys who want to take them, and I think that was a perfect example today. For like it or not like it, the wee boy Cummins wants to be a star.
Yeah, of course.
No, he wants to be.
He wants to be
the one that takes the one that matters. He wants to score. And I noticed that in the Ross County game, he wanted to be the match winner. He wanted to score the spectacular goal, and that's what you want when it comes to penalties. You want to see a hand going up immediately. Yes. I'm your man. Give me the first one, or give me this, and that just shows you the confidence.
Being a striker, isn't it? You've got the confidence, and you've got to be that way. Some people are born with it.
As you just said there, the boy Hanlon must have stuck his hand up centre half, and he pinged that right into the corner.
I think what they do is they pick 5, and that's the 5 that's taking it. Obviously, they've got to change it if the 5 of them are not on the pitch at the end of the game. So I think that's the only change at the manager. Unless someone's having an absolute stink and says, "Look, Gaffer, I'm not having a good time. I don't feel confident." You know,
I'd be interested to know whether Cummins was maybe going to be taking 5, the 5th penalty, and because of what happened, the circumstances, they knew that the 4th one was the winner.
But do you not have to tell the referee who's taking the order?
No,
I'm sure you do.
You don't have to tell the order, I don't think.
I think you do. I think you do. You've got to tell the order. You've got to tell them what the order is.
Do you?
Aye,
well, that would be an interesting one. I mean, you couldn't change if you thought to yourself.
Oh yeah, I suppose I don't know, but you've got to give a referee
1 to 5.
1 to 5.
I thought you only had to give them the 5 names. I didn't think you had to give them the order.
I don't. Well, I'm sure of it. But
here's a point.
We can put it out.
Here's a point. Based on your knowledge, if it goes to penalties tomorrow, who would you, of the 5 penalty kick takers, who would you pick for Rangers to take the penalty kicks, Gordon Smith?
I think you're no doubt about it. You need to look at, you go through the team, you need to start right away and say the 2 fullbacks would come into contention, I think. Because they're both good strikers of a ball, and they've scored goals. So you're looking at Tavernier and Wallace. You're looking at probably Kenny Miller.
Definitely, I've got that there.
Yeah. Jason Holt.
Yeah.
And 5th one would be Mackay or Barry Mackay or maybe Halliday.
Yeah. What about you, Ruffy? What would you do if you were Celtic, if you were picking your 5?
Nobody at the back.
Nobody at the back. You just say to them, "Look, it's not your day today."
I think Lipstick will take it. Lipstick will be a penalty taker. He would be there.
Well, he wouldn't be in my 5. I would obviously have Lee Griffiths, the captain, would want to take one.
Brown, yeah.
He would take one. I would like to think Beaton would have enough confidence to take one. And again, don't know if Armstrong's going to be on the park, or Mackay Stephen, B-Boy Roberts, depending on how well he's playing. But I just think when you go defensively, I start to worry.
You don't think Charlie McGrew would come into contention?
Yeah,
you've said nobody at the back.
Yeah, but I've not made my mind up that he's playing because.
What?
Yeah,
who's going to play then?
The boy Shevchenko. I think they're still
Shevchenko
at the back.
Is he fit? Is he definitely fit?
Right to the last minute. I still think if Sviatchenko is fit, he'll play alongside Mulgrew.
Well, that's the two I would pick. But somebody told
I think Mulgrew. I think Mulgrew will play.
Yeah, Tony Ambrose.
No, nobody told you that, Mac. You're right, mate.
I did actually. No, they were talking about you've got to play him if there's injuries. I mean, whether you want to think about it or not, you've got to think about it if it's injuries. You can't do anything about it.
Not injured.
I thought it would be Bayata.
Will he play?
Bayata and Mulgrew. I thought it would be Bayata and Mulgrew.
I think if Sviatchenko's fit, it's got to be Mulgrew and Sviatchenko.
No, I thought it'd be Bayata and Mulgrew.
But Sviatchenko's better than Bayata.
Yeah, if Sviatchenko's fit,
the mixture,
I think he'll play alongside Mulgrew. So you would have Mulgrew taking a penalty, Ruffy.
Yeah, if he was
having
on the
said
park,
the back line's not taking one.
Yeah, well, I hadn't put him in because I think they're going to push for.
Does Lustig not take penalties anyway? He's taking a few penalties, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm just a back 4 person.
You don't like them?
I just don't like them taking penalty kicks.
Yeah, okay.
You look at the two I've mentioned at Rangers, though, Ruffy. They've both scored in double figures for the season, so they can hit a ball.
I think this is a big test for Lee Wallace again. Not that I think he needs to prove himself. I think the lad has made a conscious decision to take a step down with Rangers all the way to the bottom tier of Scottish football. And suddenly, this year he's looked lean, mean, certainly gets into forward positions, a real danger. I think, going forward, maybe a point to prove and getting in the dangerous areas if he can get forward enough and then be aware of what's going on behind him, Gordon. Yeah, I mean, he is a leader, he's a captain, he is very attacking, there's no doubt about it. That's where that side of Rangers, the vulnerability is. The fact is that on an attacking sense, they've got 2 full-backs who are basically like wingers, but the problem is they need to have cover, and that's why I think Ball will play there to give them the cover. OK, let's go back to Paisley, to New St Mirren Park. Jim Duffy, the Morton manager, is there joining us. Jim, thanks very much for speaking to us. A difficult day today. What did you not like about the performance of your team today?
I think it was a couple of things, Peter. I think the first thing was decision making, really. Just we got into good areas in the final third. We controlled a lot of the ball, but when we get to the final third, the last action, we just picked the wrong option or were sloppy with the final ball. And I think that was the first thing. And the second thing really is the second goal in particular. It's something that I think's blighted our season, is lack of communication. It's a modern day aspect. It's not very common. You speak to every manager and they're all saying they love somebody to be a talker on the pitch, and you just don't get them these days. And a little bit of communication, just someone telling someone that let the ball through them, it's their ball or whatever, it stops the second goal. So the second goal was very poor. The first goal was a fantastic finish from Shanklin, and then we scored a great goal from Denny. So I think the first 2 goals were terrific, but the second goal was pivotal. The third goal, we have to gamble, Peter. We're chasing the game, we've got everybody up the pitch, centre backs, and you get caught in the counter. So sometimes that happens. I'm not going to go overboard about the third goal, but the second goal was the turning point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to win a derby, but when I look at your position in the table, I know you want to try and get as many points as possible, Jim, but I'm looking at your remit, keep Morton in that division in this first season back there. Are you happy with the overall season?
Well, generally speaking, we've competed really well against most of the teams, even today again, but what we've got to add to our game is the knowledge of how to win games, when you're not playing as well, or if you're under it a little bit. Whereas I think St Mirren have got a little bit more of that under Alec Gray. I think guys like Andy Webster and bringing guys like Jim Goodwin on, Jamie Langfield, a bit more game knowledge, Gary Irvine, guys like that who I think just know how to see the game out, and I think we've still got that to learn. So yeah, over the season I think we've done okay. If we can finish the season with another 3 or 4 points, I'll be absolutely delighted. But ultimately, we're talking about today, and I'm absolutely devastated because we lost.
Yeah, a couple of points before you finish, Jim. I know managers live and die by their recruitment policy, holding on to players and then bringing in other players that can enhance your squad. Will it be difficult for you in the summer to hold on to Denny Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Denny's on loan from Birmingham, and he'll go back. He scored again today, and his tally's been terrific. But in his general play, he's an outstanding player. But he'll go back to Birmingham, and really it's in their hands if they think he can be part of their team next year, or whether Gary Rowett thinks no, they're going to move him out or whatever. But he's certainly more than good enough, in my opinion, to play top level football in Scotland anyway, the Premier League. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. But if there's an opportunity to get him back, I would love to have him, mate. But I think that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and last but by no means least, Jim, everybody and their granny knows that Hibs are in the Scottish Cup final, and there's a small matter of an Old Firm derby tomorrow. What would you be saying to either team if you were going out there? You've sampled Rangers and what they have to offer. Is it about Celtic being the strongest side expected to win, or do you think Rangers and the team, the time that you've played them this season, that they can cause a shock?
I don't think it'll be a shock. I think Celtic will win the match, but the one thing that Rangers do have at this moment in time is confidence and abundance. If you get into any football match, you want to be confident, you're playing at your best. But recently Rangers have been leaking goals, and I think that's something that will be interesting to see, because Mark Warburton's philosophy has been pushing his full-backs on. Obviously Taverna scoring 14 goals, Lee Wallace scoring a good number of goals. So they really play high-risk football. To do that against Celtic, that will be a test of his philosophy, believe me. So I think that Celtic should be good enough to win it and strong enough to win it. I think physicality, not in terms of just crunching tackles, but just in terms of athleticism with Brown and Beaton and Johansson and guys like that, I think might just be too much for Rangers on the day.
Jim, thanks very much for joining us, especially after a defeat, but good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much, Peter. I'm no doubt I'll see you over the summer, mate. Cheers.
Brilliant. Jim Duffy there, the Morton manager, as ever, always squares up, even if it's a win or a defeat. I think they've had a great season. This is a team that, the chairman has said to them, consolidate, stay in this division.
Correct. I mean, the main thing they got was promotion last year, and that was a big factor to get up there. And then, as you say, that what they were trying to do was the fact that they would have to actually, play well to stay up. As high as they could, and just make sure they maintained their position in the league. But they've not only did that, for a while there they were actually challenging for a top 4 spot. They haven't made it, but nevertheless they'll be happy with their season in terms of where they finish.
Another little bit of news that's come into me. Apparently under FIFA laws, you don't have to submit a definitive list of penalty kick takers. Okay. Which is quite good, Maka, because looking at the list that Celtic have submitted now, Larsson, Sutton, Dixie Deans and a few others are going to take the penalties tomorrow.
I'm still there.
And Laudrup and Gascoigne. No, your name's definitely not on the final 5. No. Laudrup and Gascoigne will be back to take the penalties for Rangers. Isn't it amazing that this week of all weeks, when we're talking about the build-up to it, just shows you how the gap between Rangers and Celtic meeting each other, that the players who are idolised are the likes of you guys, the likes of Paul Gascoigne, Brian Laudrup, Henrik Larsson, Chris Sutton. Fans crave top-level players to be playing in this type of game to score goals. The kids, want to wear their shirts. They want a hero. Tomorrow there could be a hero that, a little kid's out on the street, Ruffy, with a ball, with a James Tavernier on his back. Suddenly a Chris Commons or a Stuart Armstrong or a Barry Mackay.
Yeah, and you just have to listen to the guys, not our guys, but everybody that's been associated with Rangers or Celtic, that if you do something in an Old Firm derby, it lives with you forever. We had Murdo coming on and he's talking about his goal.
I would do, wouldn't he?
And with Rangers boys on talking about their goals, and That's what it's all about. It's about, like we talk about, Hibs being in the record books. If you do something significant, like not just score a goal, but score the winning goal of a specific game, you are a legend forever.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're talking about, Peter, people, the names on the back, the players.
Yeah.
The days of what I call jersey sellers, the big name players that come into a club to sell the jerseys and all that, they're gone. So what you're wanting is someone to come out the team and shine, like as you say, Ruffy, just come out and just stamp their name on that game, and then that gets people want to wear their name in the back, because at the moment there's not many that players go out. You know what I'm talking about? You know, that Marapchiks and Larson and people like that. There's no jersey sellers. You want somebody to come out the crowd of Celtic and Rangers and just stamp their name and say, "This is I'm the future now." You know what I mean? And that's what you're hoping for.
I know you're absolutely right. Everybody will want to have been in that situation. You were right earlier on the way you put it. You said, if you're ambitious at all and you want to be a player, you'd want to play in a Rangers Celtic game. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of who you support or anything like that. I think even players that play for, that maybe grew up supporting Dundee or Kilmarnock and like that, would still want to play in this match, because it's a talked about match. Everyone around the world has seen Rangers Celtic games. They'll still watch them when they come back. So to play in them and to experience great memories from them, some games you lose and you tend to put them to the back of your mind. I was playing the game when Murdoch scored when Celtic won 4-2 to win the league, right?
Yeah.
And that was incredible. And I can hardly remember one bit about that game, because I've obviously airbrushed it from my memory.
Oh yeah, no, I can't remember getting beat with Rangers, but it was, but because it probably didn't. It didn't matter. No, I'm not kidding.
You do. You airbrush it and you just think, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
And then there's games you win, you remember it, the great moments.
Yeah, of course.
The actual response you get from it when you go anywhere. So it's something. I mean, as I say, I think, as I say, if you're playing football at the highest level and you're Scottish, it's a great experience to have. Okay, there's guys who have played at Aberdeen now and done well, and Dundee United and other clubs, but to play in an Old Firm game is something special.
But it's not just a game, Peter. Honestly, see all this week.
Yes.
Every day the press is down with the Celtic boys, they're down with the Rangers boys, and it's just it's a full week.
This match will be beamed across so many countries. The appeal, not necessarily for what I would call great technical football by a long shot, but the appeal of looking in on a game that has a negative side to it, a poisonous element from days gone by. I hope now it moves on from that and we can start talking about the football on the park, but there is that element of voyeurism to look into it, Ruffy, and see, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah. Well, it's not be the first time, and not particularly in a cup game. It's not for the first time in a league game when everybody's had a sigh of relief when it's one each or two each, and both sides just leave the stadium and there's nothing happening. I can see the police, having a big sigh of relief as well. But this is a cup game, somebody's got to win it. It's different, and that's why we all, the neutrals like ourselves, just want to see. We know the qualities, know what it used to be, but like that can still get you a good game. It can still get you goals. It can still.
I think the referee's a big part tomorrow. I think the referee's got a big part to play tomorrow, and I think it's Thompson. He's quite strong, and if it doesn't go funny with the cards, remember it's the importance of the day. Remember getting caught up in the atmosphere. And sometimes you've got to say, look, you get caught up and just leave it, as long as it's no. Somebody try to hurt somebody, you get stupid tackles, but they don't mean it.
The unfortunate thing, in some of the big high-profile games we've had, referees have had to make big decisions, and they've been controversial. Not through any fault of them, they've just had to make a decision. Let's hope tomorrow there isn't a decision that is wrong.
I know. I think he's got a big part to play tomorrow, and let the game go. And remember, the whole world's watching. Scottish football's been kicked for pillar to post recently, and I think the whole world's watching this one. So the supporters have got a big part to play, but so's the referee, I think.
Yeah. Okay. It's wise words there from Frank McAvenny. You can give us your view at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'll bring you the results of our poll. Who do you think is going to win the Old Firm game tomorrow? Over and above that, excuse me, you might want to tell us about your favourite goal in an Old Firm derby. One that sticks in your mind. It might be a Davy Cooper from the Dryborough Cup final of 1979. It might be Henrik Larsson's chip in Celtic's 6-2 victory. It might even be one that Makar Gordon Smith scored, if you can remember that far back. You can give us your view on that, and we'll discuss it and give you all the full times after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. We've had the first of two Scottish Cup semi-finals. It kicked off early at Hampden Park this afternoon. Hibernian are into the Scottish Cup final. They defeated Dundee United by 4-2 on penalties. It was 0-0 after the 90 minutes. Couldn't break them in the extra time period, but eventually Jason Cummings made up for missing a penalty in regulation time by scoring the decisive one to send Alan Stubbs' team into the final, where they will meet either Rangers or Celtic. And just before the break, we were talking about great Old Firm goals, and Gordon Smith actually had 2 goals that he had on his tablet that he was able to show us as well. Wow, what a memory card it must have in that tablet there, to be able to have those goals so quickly. Absolutely. Ruffy is at this moment looking through his tablet to see if there's any saves. He'll be there all night.
The tablet.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's all about, as you said, I think even, and I'll tell you this, Tom Forsyth was a hero. He scored a goal from an inch out with his back stud in a cup final, never to be forgotten.
That's right, and he gets remembered for it. He nearly missed big time, but it wasn't like him to actually score many goals. I don't think he scored many in his career.
My two best goals of all time that I've ever witnessed in an Old Firm game, Davy Cooper's in the Driver Cup final 1979. I always remember Sandy Jardine joking with me when we used to do co-commentary in Edinburgh for Hearts and Hibs games. He said he'd ran almost the length of the field and hit an absolute cracker into the roof of the net. He said, I'm going to be on the back pages, everybody's going to be interviewing me. And he says, and would you believe it, Peter, Coop come up with a goal that just defied belief.
Exactly. I remember I was playing that day, so I remember the goal, and Sandy did score a great goal. But as you said, the Coop's one was always, and it was only a low-level camera too. Yeah. The game wasn't getting filmed. It was the camera was down, I think, behind the goals.
Yeah.
Coop's goal.
It was a great goal, up over 3 players and then side-footed into the back of the net as if he was doing it in training. It was that easy. And of course, Henrik Larsson's chip in the 6-2 game, I think, lives long in the Celtic fans' memories. But there are others as well, Frank.
Well, there's a lot of goals that you can go down through the years, isn't there? It's magnificent to, you go back to Dalglish and all the greats for Celtic. I just think, watching it, I was brought up watching the games, and it was superb. The atmosphere and to become a player and playing one of them was one of the highlights. I mean, one of the dreams of my lifetime. To just, unfortunately, my first Old Firm game only lasted 15 minutes or so, as you said. So it wasn't. That's when I was talking about earlier. The referee's got to be strong, because if he'd have been stronger that day, two of us would have got a booking and everyone would have moved on. So
absolutely, and there wouldn't have been
controversy. It wouldn't have been right.
Wouldn't have been extra government laws.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's hope we're talking about the football tomorrow. There was football this afternoon in the lower leagues in Scotland. Let me first of all go back over the scores for you. There's the Championship: Alloa 2, Queen of the South 2. St Mirren 3, Morton 1 and Dumbarton are leading Wraith Rovers by 1-0 at the moment in that late kick-off. Here's the table so far. And Rangers, the champions, Falkirk, Hibs and Wraith Rovers all making it interesting. Even Ray McKinnon has suggested that they could upset the apple cart and win the playoff to go into the Premiership. And I don't think any of us have been talking about Wraith Rovers in that capacity. Ruffy, is that fair?
Yeah, I was reading that this morning, that maybe not get promoted, but he thinks he can catch Hibs. All the games that Hibs are coming up, they take their eye off the ball. But today, getting beat 1-0 with Dumbarton isn't going to make that case for everybody to see. So we'd have to go to Dumbarton and win games like that if they were going to catch Hibs.
Yep, still a long way to go in that game. It could have a few twists and turns on it. What about League One this afternoon? And Albion Rovers 0, Cowdenbeath 0, Brecon City 5, Peterhead 1, Forfar 0, Airdrieonians 2, Stenhousemuir 0, Ayr United 4, and Stranraer 4, Dunfermline 1. Here is how the table is looking after today's results. Dunfermline, the champions, Peterhead, Ayr United and Stranraer, you would imagine, will be contesting the playoff games, but maybe Albion Rovers and Airdrieonians think they can make a late surge. But I think it's fair to say those 3 teams below will be making a strong case for it. And into League 2 for today's full-time scores. Annan Athletic 1, East Stirlingshire 3, Arbroath 1, Berwick Rangers 2, Clyde 0, East Fife 0, Elgin City 1, Queen's Park 1 and Montrose 1, Stirling Albion 1. Here's a table for you at League 2. East Fife with, I think, at this point in the season, a commanding lead to win that championship. And Clyde, Queen's Park and Annan and Elgin all battling it out now. That's going to be a real close finish, Gordon Smith.
No doubt about that. I mean, none of the top 4 won today as well, which is interesting. And often do you see that, the teams, the results in that division are very, very hard to predict. I mean, Annan losing at home to East Stirlingshire, who are bottom of the league, and Clyde. I suppose Clyde could be quite pleased. 10 men they had at the end up, and they got a draw with the top of the league, East Fife, who were in a great run. Elgin, Queen's Park fighting out a draw with each other. So, as I say, there's still a real battle going on there for the league spot and also for the playoff.
Yep, and We've got lots of people interacting with us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you very much for all your messages. We ran a poll at the start of today. I don't think we were going to read too much into it due to the fact that some people just vote out of loyalty. Who's going to win the Old Firm match tomorrow? And as you can see, 63% think Celtic and 37% think Rangers. Is that how you would see it going, Ruffy? Do you think it's going to be Celtic winning this Old Firm game tomorrow?
I think we've all discussed it in depth. I think if the real Celtic turn up, I would think they would just have just that wee bit too much for Rangers. But as we've all discussed, stranger things can happen in semi-finals, and Rangers will be hoping that they can get the first goal. I think that will be a big say in the game, who gets that first goal. But I would think the way Lee Griffiths is going just now, that he certainly would be my banker for that. And I think if Celtic score first, they'll run out very narrow winners.
Yeah, I'm going to get your guys, very narrow. I'm going to get you guys to give us your thoughts in a moment. Let's quickly give you the full-time scores from the Barclays Premier League. Norwich 0, Sunderland 3, Everton 1, Southampton 1, Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 3, Swansea 0, and West Brom 0, Watford 1. Chelsea against Manchester City is on at this moment, 0-0 as we speak. Okay, there are 3 other games in the Barclays Premier League tomorrow. Bournemouth against Liverpool, Leicester, West Ham, and Arsenal, Crystal Palace. Macca, West Ham, are they going to put the brakes on Leicester's march to the title?
Yeah, I think they'll get a draw. I think they'll get a draw.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like you, Gordon. I was looking at him in sheer amazement.
I don't think they'll be too disappointed if Leicester
get a draw.
I mean, they're wanting to get in as high as possible for the Champions League, but they're certainly not be wanting Tottenham to win it, that's for sure.
To be fair, they've won their last 3 games, West Ham in the league, but I just think that they've sort of formed Leicester in just now. They're winning every game to 0 so far. You know, there's 1-0 for 5 in a row, and then 6. The 6th game was 2-0. I think they'll win again tomorrow.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think they'll beat West Ham.
I always worry when teams are winning 1-0, 1-0 all the time. It just leaves you open. It remains to be seen whether West Ham can recover for getting knocked out the cup during the week. I think we all want Leicester to win, don't we?
Yeah.
We want them to win the league, don't want them to win tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
The loyalty is sensational. Gordon Smith, who's going to win tomorrow between Rangers and Celtic, and why?
Well, I think that poll, I don't think that would be a division of the people watching the show to who they support, because I think there will be a lot of Rangers fans will be holding their hands up and say we would expect Celtic to win. I'm down that line as well, saying Celtic should win. Yep. Whether they will win or not is another factor, because a lot of things can affect an Old Firm game. Celtic are the stronger team. At the moment, they're playing against better opposition every week, and by that account, then they should be the winning team. I think it's going to be very, very tight, and it could depend on certain incidents, what happens in games. Could be an odd or off can change a game. All these kind of things can have an effect. I think on looking at form and how things are going, Celtic should win narrowly.
Frank McAvenny.
Celtic will win, and they've got better players, and I think at the top of their trade, I just go back to it's a big thing playing against better players every week. And I just think they'll be too strong. I think they'll win 3-1. I think they'll let a goal in. I do think they've been suspicious at the back, but you know they're playing against a team that's going to be attacking. I think they'll keep Kenny Miller out. So, but I think
I wouldn't be shocked if Rangers did win the game, but I think that, as I say, Celtic are favourites. But the thing about it is, it'll be a major disappointment. Celtic will get a lot of criticism if they lose this game.
You're right, Gordon Smith. Alan Ruff, let's just take that in the final point here, which I think is probably the most pertinent one. If Rangers were to win tomorrow and book their place in the Scottish Cup final, would that accelerate the calls and increase the calls for Ronnie Deila to be replaced?
Yeah, I think it would. I think the magnitude of this game, you know, I know winning the league is, as all managers said, it's great winning it, but the expectations at a club like Celtic, you need doubles or trebles or a good run in Europe, and if it was to turn that scenario, he hasn't fulfilled what I think he was put in there to do.
And you should also say again, Peter, what tomorrow would establish if Rangers do get to the final and win tomorrow and they play Hibs in the final, as we've told the listeners, the viewers so far, it would be a historical final, the first time in the history of the Scottish Cup that a team from the top division we're not taking part in it. With the first ever time, there's only one team outside the top division have won the Scottish Cup. Do you know what it is?
We won't have to worry about that tomorrow.
We
You don't
won't.
think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the great thing is, I can tell you, at Hampden Park tomorrow, Ruffy and I will be looking at each other and not thinking about history whatsoever. We'll just have our tin helmets on, watching the game, every crunching tackle and enjoying it. Let's hope we're talking about the football. Go to the game, enjoy it. By all means, go home safely.
Safe.
From everyone here, good night.